Welcome to your Tuesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, and we are live from day number 2 of SEC Media Days 2023. When you're the show that calls Nashville home, you can hang with the Broadway media parties much more than our media peers can. We are not peeling ourselves off the bars of Broadway this morning at 6 a.m. Nope, we are ready to go for 4 more hours live from the Grand Hyatt Hotel here in beautiful Music City, USA. We've got a full crew ready to bring it to you. The one and only, the biggest man, the most recent NFL player on SEC Media Day Radio Row. He is Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
We've got Kayla Anderson. We've got Allen Kirby keeping us between the navigational beacons. And Robert Walsh back at our 105 The Zone studios. I'm Will Bowling. It is Tuesday, July the 18th. Day 1 down, 3 more to go. How are we feeling?
Solid, Will. Kayla?
Kayla, good morning.
Doing well. Ready to go.
Will say being on this level right here is usually kind of where we are when we did, like, road trips and everything in the NFL and in college, too. And, like, seeing the drink machine open and it not actually be unlocked, it kind of gave me a little trauma. I was like, well, this is not okay.
Oh, like the fridges over
Yeah, the
there.
fridges and stuff, because this is like the conference level where usually on is roped off and stuff, meeting rooms and stuff like that for team meetings. And just it's always a plethora or just an abundance of drinks, food, like massage tables and stuff like that. And I went and grabbed the door yesterday. I didn't even tell y'all about that. And I was like, oh, you're an older, washed-up dude now. Like, you can't get the free drinks whenever you want to right now. So
it's just too early.
We had to wait till 8 o'clock to get it. You know what I'm saying? So
I think the coffee should be here at 6, though. That's just my
you were an
opinion.
NFL athlete, it'd already be out here.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't have that luxury. So
it's just me making fun of my
that was
I'm the kid on the street.
That was the best thing in the training room at Tennessee, like the massive cooler of Gatorade cans where you could walk up and one of my buddies would bring his backpack in the training room and we would put as many cans of Gatorade in his backpack as humanly possible, and then our little fridge in Brown Hall at Tennessee would just house just about 15 Gatorade cans a day. And then somehow by the time we got to practice the next day, they were all gone and we were ready for more.
I'm telling you,
I feel you.
That's just me making a joke of my old lifestyle. It's just been like, we're no longer in the show anymore, although we are.
We are. We just have to wait a little longer.
We are the show, despite the fact that the army of people of support staff from 104.5 The Zone that will hover around this table for the rest of the day. We will get that for 1 hour. The rest of the shows will get that for a combined 9 hours, despite the fact that we have the longest show. 615-737-1045 is the number here from the beautiful Grand Hyatt Hotel. Making the rounds today at SEC Media Days, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State. Hoping to have Vandy wide receiver Will Sheppard with us at the table at some point during the show this morning. We will certainly have Brad Crawford of 247 Sports. And Tuesday means Ron Slay. So, of course, he will join us at 9:20. The SEC Media Days veteran who can then give us all of our rookie advice. That's the first time our show has been here.
Man, with No Roof Ministries is what he's got going on.
That's right. You've got me staring down this cooler now of drinks. There's like
I know.
every iteration of Dr. Pepper that has ever been created, or even like tested and then decided it didn't work. They just instead sent it here.
They sent it right here to Nashville for SEC Media Days. It's one up there that's got like a blue label, but it's zero, and I don't know what it was. It was
really
fascinating. Yeah, it's a blue label. I never
for
knew
Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper maroon and blue. I didn't
They
realize
come out with
went
all
together.
sorts of different ones now.
Yeah.
Since they're the official college football drink.
When you guys played in the Cotton Bowl against Texas A&M, I remember that is when they first handed out cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper for the first time. We were leaving the stadium. That would have been, 2000?
That was 2005. That's the
yes.
beginning of 2005.
Yes, that was the 04 season, the 05 Cotton Bowl. Tennessee killed A&M in that game.
Yeah, we did.
And they were handing out cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper samples for the first time. And then when you guys fumbled away the Outback Bowl, literally, against Penn State, oh, come on, nothing?
No, I did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Against
Taking
Penn
a shot at
State.
your boy Arian.
Yeah, no, all good. You were laughing.
We're having a nice time.
They were handing out vaults after that one.
They were handing out vaults.
Vaults,
after that
like
one?
the new, like at that point, like
the electric
Mountain Dew.
drink. Yeah.
So we got cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper when you beat A&M, and then when you lost to Penn State, they were handing out vaults.
Dang, Will.
Core memories.
You came ready.
Yeah.
Can you see what it is? We linked up the drive over here. Will walked over here, so his blood flow
I
is a
know.
little
He's
bit
got
more.
blood flow.
It's a little bit more petty this morning.
I
Yep.
woke up like 30 minutes ago. I don't know what you're talking about.
Jeez, bro. That man
It would
has
be
a-
nice to get your legs going this early in the morning.
Would be. A workout would change a lot
Yeah.
for you. Change your entire attitude.
It used to
right
be
there.
like that for me.
Did
Not
it?
anymore.
Really?
Well,
Well, I used to wake up at 6 a.m., which we start the show now at 6 a.m., so that means I wake up a lot earlier. But, yeah, getting my workout in the mornings was always a thing because
Yeah.
it does. It gets your day kind of going. Now you have to get it in when you get in.
I tried it when, even
you
late
did.
last year. Remember, I was early morning, 5 o'clock, waking up.
I don't know how you were
earlier
doing
than
that.
that. 4:15, waking up.
Yeah, that was wild.
Goals, Kayla. I had to
Yeah.
get to a point. Now I'm at that point. Oh, man. I ran again yesterday.
Why?
I know. Every time I hit a lap. By the way, corners are not my friend, man.
You better be careful here.
Define what do you mean?
My youngest was practicing football yesterday. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not wasting time watching him practice anymore. Is where I'm at. I'm like, whatever happens out there after I leave and come back, cool. Hey, I'll figure it out. He'll be fine. So I take off on the walk. I hit a mile in my walk, and then there was a track at his elementary school.
Oh.
And I got to the track, ran a lap, walk a lap. I did 5 sets of it yesterday.
That's good.
So I think it's like a fifth of a mile around. So 5 laps. I ended up getting like a mile plus yesterday.
There you go.
Before walking back.
Proud of you.
But on the straightaways, I was good. Got a good speed up, and guess what? When I leaned into the corner a little bit, well, I was like, "Ooh, let me ease up a little bit on this corner right here,
And
man."
you thought you could drive NASCAR.
I did.
You thought you could drive NASCAR at 200 miles per hour, but can't even run a corner.
Lean into the corner. I was like, retirement moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just envision a really country guy as you're making the corner, just 3 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide. They're 3 wide going around turn 3. But it's just Ramon Foster.
It was just me. And then, of course, I'm the way the track is set up is by like the main Long Hollow is what it's by in Henderson, a very busy street. And all I was just hoping was somebody, please don't notice me, okay? Because I don't need you yelling now, let's go, big fella. Or so you know how you trying to get some genuine work in, and there's that one street car that comes by. I see you, big fella. Or
Man,
boo.
if I had $1 for every time in my 10-year running career that someone yelled "Run, Forrest, Run,"
Jeez.
I would never have to work a day in my life ever again. Ever.
It's like I'm trying to help
So original.
myself here. Yeah.
Be like, oh, haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
Or when you
Appreciate ya.
see kids practicing and stuff, it's just like the dude's just with the loudest car or just
Oh, they
decide-
rev it up.
Yeah, I'm like, well, why don't you come out here then?
Yeah.
If you want to interrupt practice the way you are right now.
Well, the loudest
Jack
cars
off.
mean that other things are about as small as possible.
That's
fair. Yeah.
Their confidence.
They're confident.
615-737-1045, the number if you want to jump in this morning. Among the headlines to discuss today, the running back market is on fire in the NFL.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's not happy about it. Dalvin Cook not too pleased about it. And Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, as well as Josh Jacobs are going to play under a franchise tag.
Austin Eckler
In
is
2023.
mad too.
So interesting stuff there that we can certainly get to as the day continues. We mentioned Vanderbilt, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State making the rounds today. Vanderbilt signs head coach Clark Lee to a contract extension yesterday. ESPN's Pete Thamble reporting that he receives a 3-year extension that will carry him through the 2029 season. Terms were not disclosed publicly, but ultimately the headline of that, Clark Lee here to stay and is rewarded for a season that got Vanderbilt on the doorstep of bowl eligibility in 2022.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for Vanderbilt. Everything that Clark Lee has done up to this point, for the most part, has been good. It has been a little bit of progress. You saw a few of the wins that they got last year. I think the situation with the quarterback last year was a little bit difficult in terms of Mike Wright, and should you have pulled him that early on, you're going to make mistakes as a quarterback sometimes. I think it it was almost like, should we play the younger guy? Should we keep Mike Wright in? I think that was a learning lesson maybe for Clark Lee, but now Mike Wright is gone, obviously at Mississippi State. So now it's just kind of building blocks on blocks on blocks, right? I mean, that's what you got to do at Vanderbilt. They obviously have a new stadium that they're renovating. They're getting all that stuff together. So hopefully that will get some excitement going for this program. But I think for the most part, Clark Lee deserves that. He is a Vanderbilt guy when it's all said and done, and they've got to love that. And they also recently just extended Candace Parker Lee as well as athletic director.
Story Lee.
Story Lee. I don't know why I just said Parker Lee. It's 6 a.m. That's what happens.
It'd be like that, Kay. It'd be like that.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Vanderbilt's moving in the right direction, it seems like, for sure.
I think at the very least, the important thing is there is a long-term plan in place at Vanderbilt now that oftentimes has not been in place.
Yeah.
And there is a plan for upgrading facilities that have gone way too long without being upgraded.
Yeah.
And in that, a head coach deserves an opportunity to see that process through.
Right.
And to get all of the luxuries that come with new facilities and the opportunity to have security and recruit to those new facilities. So, obviously the college football cycle of job security and giving your coach enough of a platform to stand on in order to recruit towards that new stadium and those new renovations. Oftentimes these extensions feel like they come at weird times. This one makes sense.
Yeah.
Certainly makes sense. And smart by Vanderbilt announcing this the day before Clark Lee makes the rounds at SEC Media Days. I think as much as media often will be, I don't know how to put it, will be critical of them for not maybe playing that game more and understanding the way the media news cycle works and how to get ahead of it and be in the middle of it. Smart timing by them.
Yeah.
It was.
He'll make the rounds today with
one,
a brand new
One
extension.
thing real quick I didn't like, though, is when you put in the SEC media books, and this was not Vanderbilt's fault. It was obviously a slight on Vanderbilt, putting Bryce Young in as the quarterback that was coming here to talk.
Yeah, they
probably not a smart move.
On the
SEC
schedule online, if you look at yesterday, looked at the players making the rounds, it said Vanderbilt quarterback Bryce Young would be making the rounds. Honestly, they're doing our job for us because that's a great sports talk radio question.
It is.
How many games could Bryce Young right now win with this Vanderbilt football team?
There we go.
615-737-1045.
Give us a call.
I'm going at least 6.
I am too.
Bryce Young.
Give me 7.
Alabama Bryce Young
Give me 7.
could win 6 games with Vanderbilt.
Easily bowl eligible.
There we go.
Easily bowl
Coming
eligible.
soon to the Birmingham Bowl. It's Bryce Young and Vanderbilt. Goodness. Coming up, though, we revisit our conversation with former Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. Had a great talk with him, and he says he's ready to show why he was the best player in college football last year.
Yeah.
Not shying away from high expectations
that.
this rookie season with Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, and the Detroit Lions. That's on the other side as we continue this morning on a Tuesday morning edition in beautiful Music City. It's Ramon, Kale, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. If you are a business owner or facility manager, you have a lot on your plate and a lot to keep up with. That can include assessing your equipment and systems, evaluating indoor air quality, outlining new cleaning procedures, or even reviewing options for implementing touchless plumbing and electrical fixtures. That's a lot to keep up with, so let Lee Company take some of those things off your plate. Lee Company can help you with all of it. They have been in the facility management and maintenance business for decades. So put their professional expertise to work for you today. HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, they do it all. And you hear me say all the time that Lee Company is all you need. Well, that's true if you're a homeowner or a facility manager. Remember this number if you fit in either of those categories, 615-567-1000. Their website is great as well, online at leecompany.com. 615-567-1000. Let Lee Company be your facility manager by going online to leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Tuesday morning on RKW. It's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045, our number. We revisit our conversation with Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. And, guys, before we get to it, good to hear him confident in his health, confident in the work he's done this offseason, and confident that he's ready to show he was the best player in college football last year, in his own words.
It was good, man, to hear his confidence. And also, too, to have him answer the question like that. We knew they were going to ask him the hard questions in his pre-draft visits. Because of what? Because the offense can look a certain way to the folks that don't know anything about it. In fact, he said, no, I handled my own when it came down to me understanding this offense. That's truthfully under Heupel for just 2 years. So I'm glad that he got tested by that, because every quarterback after him is going to go through that same test, with Joe being next, Joe Milton being the next guy under in this draft process.
I thought it was interesting, too, that he was specifically talking about those quarterbacks that went before him and kind of saying, hey, I'm just as good as them, including shouting out Anthony Richardson and saying, yeah, he got all the praise for being the athletic one coming out of the draft, but I feel like I'm just as athletic as him. I couldn't show it as much towards the end of the season with the combine and stuff because I was hurt. But I thought that was funny, too, and awesome. And you saw the confidence in Hendon.
You
that
heard it.
I think it's a good thing, because we maybe didn't see as much of that exactly, of comparing himself to other guys. But now it was like, hey, look, I can be just as good as he can as a high draft pick.
What sucks, too, is the fact that he'll never get a combine.
Yeah.
He will never get a combine, because I know, like, you can hear it, he wanted those numbers. He wanted that 40. He wanted the vertical. He wanted all of that. And just to prove his worth. And that's all it really is, proving his worth. You know how it gets with guys sometimes, like, oh, well, I need to be a part of the show. And that can be pressure. Well, his only way of doing it now is being on the field.
By the way, his handshake just as steady. I had to do two hands, because if I just did one, y'all, I feel like it'd get crushed. So I had to do, like, the two-hand shake.
Yeah.
Because it's so, like, good.
He got some mitts.
He does.
Interesting, too, and you'll hear the conversation coming up in just a minute. Hendon Hooker, when asked by NFL teams which game was your best, says it wasn't the Alabama game. Which honestly doesn't shock me, because when you look at his numbers against Florida, 22 of 28, 349 yards for 2 touchdowns, and 13 carries for 112 and a touchdown.
Wow.
I still go back, and we asked him about it, and he said we felt that chemistry and that connection in the offseason. That drive they had at the end of the first half against Florida, where they went 90 yards and scored in about a minute and 45 seconds, was kind of the linchpin for me of, this offense isn't just elite against Pittsburgh. This offense isn't just elite against, Akron and Ball State. And we didn't know what Florida was at that point of the season. We thought Florida could still be a top 25 team and be decent. That was significant. One of the all-time forgotten moments of that season last year.
That day, Florida was good.
They were.
Anthony Richardson was good.
Richardson was awesome.
Last year.
That he may have to say that was his best game, Anthony Richardson.
Sure.
That would be the tape that I would put on.
For sure. Well, here he is, VFL Hendon Hooker, joining us at SEC Media Days 2023. And we are pleased to be joined this morning by VFL Hendon Hooker, kind enough to give us a few minutes. How much do you enjoy hearing the VFL before your name now? Is that kind of set in yet?
It's still surreal, because that's an honor to be a VFL.
Yes,
so, continue to rep the brand as well as I can.
Well, welcome. You're here with Bush's Baked Beans. You're going to be watching SEC games for the first time. I know you've got Bush's Baked Beans right on your tailgate menu for this season as Tennessee tries to make it 2 in a row against Alabama.
For sure. Whenever we can get a side of baked beans, in the cookout or in the grand scheme of the meal, it's always great.
Love it. Well, man, what have these last few months been like? We caught up with you at the Senior Bowl. You're a Detroit Lion now, so obviously congratulations on that. What has it been like going through that rookie minicamp and kind of first NFL offseason?
Yeah, it's been cool. Kind of different because I have the injury. So not really being thrown out there, first day of rookie minicamp, being more of a cerebral, player on the field and just trying to soak up all the information that I can and get extra reps. And then when the vets get there, kind of pick their brains as well. And Jared Goff and Nate Sutterfield, they do a great job of helping us get acclimated to the NFL and to the Lions as well.
How does it feel actually having Detroit be Knoxville North? Because there's 4 Vols on the team. I was always proud of having a Vol on my team. How has that been, especially Cam Sutton? Because I played with that dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. And being there with Emmanuel Mosley, who I played high school ball with, and I remember my freshman year, he was the starter. I was his backup on varsity. So
wow.
Him just always being a great mentor to me and helping me, make huge decisions like going to Tennessee in the transfer portal, and then now being on the same team with him, and we both had the same injury, so both asking each other, hey, are you running today, or are you gonna live? What are you doing? And it's always jokes and always a great time. And then Cam is the big bro as well, and he helps me out a lot in knowing how to maneuver as an NFL player now.
If I was you, I would pick Cam Sutton's brain.
Yeah.
He was a player coach in Pittsburgh. By far one of the most well-conditioned players I've ever seen in my life, but also the smartest, man. I would just attack his brain as much as you possibly can. But the other portion of it, though, too, is how has the flexibility been as an NFL quarterback now with the playbook, the coaches, understanding, like you said, E-Man asks you, are we running today? Like, those are things now that you have the option as a pro to kind of understand how to, carve out your own pathway as a pro.
It's been cool, and really just trying to conduct myself in the best manner that I can, and showing my teammates the way that I work. Trying to be the first one in there every morning, and I don't know about the last one to leave, but I'm definitely one of the last ones. But majority of the time, like the days are so long, you want to get out of there at a decent time so you can get some rest or be able to have some downtime before you dive back into that playbook before you go to bed.
Yep. Hendon Hooker, our guest on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
What were your first thoughts when you heard Detroit Lions and you're going to play for a coach like Dan Campbell, who, we kind of compare a lot here to Mike Vrabel, just the energy that he brings to this team and a team that's on the up and up, Hendon?
Yeah. The first thing that popped in my mind was the couple of plays that they had me kind of walk through on my visit in the pre-draft process. So as soon as I hopped on the phone with quarterback coach Mark Brunell, I started talking about some of the plays, and he was laughing. But it's always a great time there, and it's a lot of competitive nature, in that building, and everyone wants to get better, and everybody wants to win.
When it comes to this season and the Tennessee Volunteers, I know it's hard now because you're going to be an NFL player, but how closely are you going to be watching, your former teammates in this team as they continue to kind of rise here in the SEC?
Yeah, I'm going to continue to watch them every week. Just naturally, me and Joe are going to talk about it. Regardless. So I'm looking forward to them having a huge season and putting up big numbers this year.
Hendon Hooker, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. So I'm curious, Hendon, have you given Joe any advice on how to manage us media types here at SEC Media Days? And maybe more importantly, has he confided in you on what his outfit will look like and the suit?
Of course. He asked me what I was wearing today. I said, I'm chilling, Joe.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not wearing a suit. I'm not wearing a suit today. But, I think he might be best dressed. He'll have some nice on, something really nice. But Joe's a vet. He's been around college football and the media for a long time. He's been in that spotlight. He knows how to handle it.
What's the best advice you feel like you've given him?
I've given Joe.
Yeah.
Enjoy every moment.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, soak it up. A lot of guys, want to rush out of college so fast, and then when you get out, you're like, man, I miss those days.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling everyone. I told all my teammates at Tennessee, cherish these college moments and make these memories because you will never get them back.
The question I have for you, man, is of course the question about the offense is going to always come up. How did that transition over into your pre-draft conversation? Speaking about Heupel's offense that you commanded, and you learn everything. It's essentially what happens, right? But the system on the field equips everybody to succeed.
Yeah, for sure. I think just through my pre-draft process, a lot of the combine meetings and a lot of the meetings that I had with teams, like installing their plays, we call it this, like, oh, we have that, we call it that. So, it's just different verbiage and different language everywhere. But being able to walk into rooms with GMs, presidents, head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and then their support staff, and just taking over the entire meeting.
Yeah.
And being well prepared. I think Tennessee's coaches, did a great job of that. Even when I was hurt, I was still getting a couple play calls in from Cowboys' old playbook that one of my coaches had. So any way that I could continue to build and get better, that's what I did last summer. And then this summer I came back to Tennessee and did some work with them as well. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So, Hendon, I don't know if you saw the Tennessee-Alabama rebroadcast was on SEC Network again the other day. Mm-hmm. How many times have you rewatched that game? Because I genuinely think once a week I watch highlights of that game.
Okay, yeah. So going through the draft process, you'll sit down with the GM or with quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, and they'll say, okay, what game do you feel like was your best game? And they'll always say, like, oh, I know Alabama. And I'll say, actually, Florida. I want to watch the Florida game.
Okay. Yeah.
So anytime, like, they would put the film on, you have to explain it. So I've seen it maybe 1,000 times.
Right.
So.
And I was talking to somebody about that recently, that specifically the drive you guys had at the end of the first half against Florida. Just what a statement that was, and the throw you made to Ramel Keaton and the diving catch that he makes. Obviously, that's a guy that's ready for a huge breakout season this year. How much did that moment kind of feel like that offense really clicked for you all this season specifically?
I really felt like from the summertime.
Yeah.
Usually, like this past weekend that just passed, we would take a quarterback receiver trip out here to Nashville and just kind of hang out and go get some field work and just kind of build that chemistry. Mm-hmm. So I think from just that summertime to in-game situations, we knew each other like the back of our hands. So continuing to push that offensive line, and once they made that push from that goal line, it was go time. We knew that we were going to go down there and score the ball.
Hendon, how is the health? How are you coming along? How are you feeling?
I feel good. Continue to work my knee. I just got back from California working out with Jordan Palmer and the Modus group. That's my rehab group. They do a great job of making sure that I'm dialed in on every little detail and getting my body back, strong.
What did you learn from that process, just of going through something like this?
Have patience.
Yeah.
Have patience. I remember talking to a lot of my friends who had injuries of the same sort, and I'm picking Emmanuel Mosley's brain because we had the exact same injury on the exact same leg. So, just continuing to stack days and be patient, and when the time comes, I'm gonna be excited to get back on the field.
You're a competitor, just like anybody, an ultimate competitor when it comes down to it. Going through the draft process, and now in hindsight, your opportunity is coming. The knee is getting better, learning the playbook. How motivated are you to knock some of those guys off and drafted in front of you? In a sense, because you beat those guys, and you played a huge part in beating those guys too. So where are you at on that?
I'm very motivated, especially like not being able to perform in the combine and show my athleticism, to the max, and break some of those quarterback, records. Aaron Richardson is super athletic. I'm pretty athletic too. So
and then go on.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there and really show people, why I was the SEC Player of the Year and why I was the best player in college football last year.
I love it. Hendon Hooker with us. On the way out, Hendon, have you seen Dan Campbell's morning coffee routine in person yet? There's a lot of talk about this.
Yeah, I have not. So majority of the time, I have my own routine when I get in the facility.
Sure.
I get in there pretty early, and I might see some of the coaches in the weight room lifting while I'm getting a little prehab, and then I'll go watch film for about an hour, then eat breakfast, then we'll have team meeting, and that's when I get to see Dan, like at the team meeting,
taking kneecaps off.
Dan he's a fiery guy and very electrifying and great energy. He's great to be around. So I'm excited to get back to work.
Y'all have a very player-heavy coaching staff. Mm-hmm. Y'all can't prepare yourself. There are some dudes that play football with you that's gonna talk trash. It's like, dude, you're supposed to coach me. You're not supposed to tell me. Oh my God, I can't imagine what y'all practice is gonna be like, dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like through OTAs, it was very competitive because we're supposed to just be working on plays. Get acclimated to everyone, grow the chemistry. No, we're scheming up the defense. We're going to score. And then the defense is scheming blitzes, dialing it up.
That's fun.
I'm very excited, to get out there and get back to work.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to watch you go to work, man. Hendon Hooker has been our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Continued health and success to you. The way you represent Tennessee has been awesome to watch, man, and just wish you all the best.
You. Thank you.
There he is, Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker with us on RKW. Coming up, the NFL headlines and why Robert Walsh hates us this morning. He's working under protest. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Buying a diamond, if you're not properly educated, is hard. And if you're not careful, you can overpay big time. Small variations in diamond quality specs can make a huge difference in its value. That's why I always recommend Genesis Diamonds. I was just there yesterday, so I really recommend them, okay? Genesis Diamonds education is second to none. They will teach you the secrets of the industry. They will explain how diamonds are priced on the world market. Their non-commissioned experts will make you a savvy buyer even if you decide to shop elsewhere. These days, this is so important, especially if you're considering buying a lab-grown diamond also. Let Genesis reveal the truth behind the recent trend and show you all the info on how lab-growns are being overpriced in so many places. Bottom line, Genesis is the source for your information as well as the best value for both natural and lab-grown diamonds. Whether you're buying a diamond for the first time or upgrading to a large, rare, investment-grade diamond, Genesis will make sure you don't make a mistake. Genesis Diamonds, where the focus is always honesty, transparency, education, quality, and value. Don't buy a diamond until you learn the ins and outs from Genesis. Located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Wrapping up hour number 1 on your Tuesday morning. Welcome into Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Coming up in hour 2, a primer on all 4 teams who will be talking to the media today, including, I'm going to say, guys, the number 1 NFL prospect in Nashville this weekend. We'll be making the rounds today. We'll tell you who that is coming up at 7 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is the number, and Robert Walsh is not happy with us this morning.
So I've heard.
Kayla, he's working under protest.
Yeah.
Robert, this is our first time away from you for this amount of time since you have been our producer, and we apologize for making you as hungry as we have made you already this morning.
It's not just the food. It's not just the ho-humming around with all the who's who of the SEC. This is how NASA control must have felt when Buzz Aldrin was like, "Dang, man, this moon is so cool, y'all. There's so much going on up here. It's cold, but it is fun." And then they've just got to sit back here like, "All right, your mic's on, Buzz. You got to interview with the aliens in like 12 minutes. Do good."
Hey, strap up your boots, Buzz.
Yeah, right. So, like, at least if I'm going to have to be stuck in here alone, at least I should be able to come in here naked and not have to put clothes on.
Wow.
We need
Why
to
not?
find a way to work this out where I could do this remotely from my own house. Because if I'm going to go all day without seeing somebody, I might as well do it in the comfort of my own home in the nude.
You know what, Buck? Buck, I just called you Buck.
Dadgummit, Kayla.
Yeah, that's way to go, Kayla.
Y'all,
Way to get 'em.
y'all ain't in here where I could cut y'all's mics
Right?
off.
You should have. I'm having problems this morning, clearly, getting up a little even earlier now. But yes, here's the thing, Bert. I am with you on that because I get it. Like, being alone and not having your teammates around, it's not fun. And you know what? Joe Hunk gets to be out here. Hunkapiller gets to be out here.
Lucas is
Why
out there.
can't Bert
Lucas Panzica
Why
gets to
can't
be out
Bert
here.
Bert be out here?
Robert is the only full-time producer that isn't at SEC Media Days.
Exactly. What is that about?
That's what I'm saying.
We didn't stop
And
at
we
a
have a
gas
4-hour
station
show.
this morning. We didn't stop at a gas station
And I
this
put on the
morning.
gas pedal.
You put
I put on the
gas
gas
and
pedal.
Bert up.
Honestly,
now.
this is our fault for not needing like a ton of coaching in person. Like Buck needs, like, Buck is a cat that every time he sees a shiny thing, he just tries to go pounce on it or just paw at it with his paws. 3HL obviously.
Joe Heasy.
Joe Hunk is trying to line up all the people who want to take pictures with Ron Slay. So I understand that one a little bit because Slay is trying to give so many autographs and he's so beloved in the SEC. But we should be more high maintenance. That way Robert can come out
I
here
agree.
and eat these chocolate croissants with
I
us.
agree. How about Ramon needs a bodyguard?
I do need a
You
buyer.
know?
I know
That's fair.
Bert he would be the best. Easily.
He would. He'd be great.
Bert, the question I have for you though is it like in your DNA as a producer to want to host in the studio naked? Because Shape used to say the same thing. He said, "You don't know if I don't have on pants." Like, is that something that y'all
Like
are
the
taught?
news desk.
Yeah.
I think that's just in the buff is where I'm most comfortable.
Sure.
And the good thing is, you guys, I'm kind of like who was the leader of the Power Rangers back in the day, Zordon or something.
Is it
All
the one
you
who
ever
passed away
red
recently?
one?
Whatever his name was, all y'all ever see is like my upper
The white
body.
one, I think.
You never see like anything other than like my upper half. So I could be in here in a diaper, I could be in here in a Speedo, I could be in
who's
here in
to
that
say?
thing in Borat
That's true.
wears. No one knows. And I think part of it is just wanting to be comfortable. Every day I got to put on this monkey suit. You know what I mean? Like, put on the clothes, throw on my Crocs. And I'd much rather be barefoot, to be completely honest.
There's no way to
Oh,
know what goes
me
on in
too.
a tiger's head.
But
We don't
Bert,
have the technology.
You're saying all of this, but all of that is minimum clothes. Like, the Crocs really just is the easiest thing you got going on right now. And I really just think you have on certain shorts. I don't want to guess anything further than that, okay, which I'm appreciative that you do have on certain shorts. I don't know most days, Bert, that you may put on undergarments, okay? So don't brag about putting on clothes when I feel like it's the minimum anyway.
The context the conversation we're having out of context to anyone who can hear
Right?
us right
Who's
now
tuning in?
is terrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrific.
You're
Listen,
welcome.
I'm not gonna dispute that I'm probably just wearing a shirt and shorts and no underwear, but these dogs got to breathe. My puppers are barking and they want to hit the yard.
Roof.
Robert, if you want to feel like us at the end of the show, we can send about 7 people to just stand around your table and watch us and do nothing, and then
Yeah,
you'll feel exactly
there we
like
go.
we do.
I I'll take 2 or 3 of those guys. How about that? We'll split them.
My mission is to get you out here sometime when we're on it. I'm serious, Bert. Like, everybody else gets to do it.
I would
Dang
love
it.
that. Kayla's on my
fair.
side.
If this show goes international in October as well,
That's what I'm talking
where the
about.
Tennessee Titans play across the pond,
I'm gonna
Robert
tell you-
Walsh needs
Exactly.
to come across
That's
the
what
pond.
I'm talking
There is
about.
0 chance. There is. I'm not even giving it a 1% chance. There is a 0% chance
That fuels my fire then.
that they would let me go over there. One,
You give me a 0 chance, I'll make it 100, baby.
Gotta make it's a challenge.
they're going to think I'm a liability. And then who the hell is going to wake up at 4:30 to come set this up? Nobody wants to do that. So
Well, there it'd be like 8:30
And-
because the show would start at noon.
Same
London.
thing.
and don't
can't
they
you
serve
be
beer
nude
for
in London?
breakfast?
What's that?
Don't they serve beer for breakfast there?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You think you can get it 18 years old too, Bert? So you're well above
I
age.
mean, they're probably selling that a couple of hours ago, right down the road from us here on Broadway. So
Yeah, they ain't gonna let me
Feel
go
just
to
at
London.
home? Okay,
We tried.
we did try.
Yeah, we did try hard.
We feel for you, Bert.
615-737-1045, our number. What do you want?
What just happened?
What are you
just took a
What are you
tumble.
Shoot,
bloviating
he just
about?
took a tumble.
Oh
He
no!
took a-
See,
Is he okay?
y'all are always getting to do
see,
cool
Robert-
stuff.
Robert. Robert.
I want to see somebody take a tumble.
I feel so
Bert.
bad.
to help people
He
in
just
times of need.
Yeah.
humbled Bert.
Like, tough.
How old was he?
Oh, your voice is louder than you think it is.
He's at least 65, 70.
Robert is so mad.
You would have laughed,
615-737-1045
Bert.
is our
You would have
number.
laughed heartedly. Okay?
Coming up,
Sheesh,
the
Lord.
best NFL prospect in Nashville this weekend makes the rounds today, and NFL running backs are not happy about the deals that were not made at the franchise tag deadline yesterday. Reset of the headlines coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
What's going on, good people? It's 7 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Good morning. It's been a tumultuous road for running backs this offseason, as none of the running backs who were tagged this offseason were able to come to terms with their teams on a new long-term agreement. In the end, 3 franchise tag players received long-term deals. That's Lamar Jackson, Deron Payne, and Evan Ingram with the Jaguars. Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and Saquon Barkley were all left out in the cold by their by their teams, but running backs all over the league have been affected. Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones had to take a pay cut. Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, and Leonard Fournette were all cut. And Austin Eckler wanted a new deal and asked for a trade. He didn't get what he wanted either. In the SEC, Vanderbilt assigned head coach Clark Lee to an extension through 2029. Under Lee, Vanderbilt went 5-7 in 2022 after going 2-10 in his first year as head coach. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome to your Tuesday morning on RKW. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, and we've got 2 tables full of coffee.
Woo! Let's go.
One to our left, one to our right. We are fully caffeinated and ready to go for 3 more hours with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Kirby Allen Kirby on the headset, and Robert Walsh, hungry and maybe clothed, back at our 104.5 The Zone Studios. 615-737-1045 is our number.
Yeah.
As Vanderbilt, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State make the rounds today. Head coach Clark Lee set to take the podium at just after 10 o'clock here at the Grand Hyatt in downtown Nashville.
Be good. A little hometown love here for Clark Lee, just getting an extension, obviously, like you mentioned in the first hour. So I think it'll be good. Hopefully Will Sheppard will drop by, wide receiver for Vandy, who's getting a little bit of love this season. So should be fun. Should be a fun day. And I'm actually interested to listen in on Auburn's presser and the new head coach over there.
I say this respectfully. What is Auburn right now?
That's a good question.
You know?
It really is.
What is their identity?
A team trying to find out where all the big guys are on campus, like Jeremy Pruitt was when he got to Tennessee and said, where are all the big guys? Because Gus Malzahn and Brian Harsin did not really recruit many offensive linemen.
No, they didn't.
Oh, my gosh. That right there can be one of the most neglectful things, which is why, of course, I'm going to say this, and you know I'm always the pro guy with this. But one of Heupel's first thing that he brought up was we got to get some bigs. We're going to run the ball. We have to establish a run. And when you're in the SEC, or honestly, you're competing
really anywhere,
any level, Kayla, establishing a run and controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball means the most.
Yeah.
And, of course, your big guys are the ones that usually they're the biggest group, biggest bodies, and they usually can set the tone aside from the quarterback of a team. So if Auburn ever thought that they were never going to be a big guy school, that's the reason they are where they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think by far the most interesting conversation today, though, is when Kirby Smart takes the podium at 11:30.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
Kirby Smart talking to the big room and to the media, and his ability to answer for the questions that have been posed by media, by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. We're going to get into this coming up here at 7:20 about the fight between Georgia football and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and when the off-field issues become a distraction for a team that we're not really talking about a whole lot.
You're right.
Here at SEC Media Days. The conversation is so much about LSU becoming the new power in the SEC West, Alabama and their quarterback battle of whom anyone could win at this point. It feels like Georgia's quarterback battle is so settled with Carson Beck, and that the off-field issues have been so much more the storyline that I can't remember a time where we've had a 2-time defending champion who has been talked about this little as Georgia is this season, because we just know what they are, and their schedule is just such a cakewalk.
Yep.
Do you feel this Georgia era is the same as Alabama's? Because Alabama's was met with I feel like Alabama's was met with a lot of hate, a lot of denial, a lot of like, how long can it last? Is it real? Whereas to the point that you just made, Georgia's kind of met with, oh Lord, they did it again. Like, you expect it to be this, whereas Alabama's era wasn't the same at all. And I wonder what is it? Is it because Georgia finally won it and everybody's scared now? Because it's one thing everybody had over Georgia was what? You can't win the big one. And the fact that they did it back-to-back and kind of showed everybody and still crushing it during the season and in recruiting, I think that's why we don't deny them as much as we did Alabama. And Saban kind of has that look about him. I think people can relate to Kirby in a way because he struggled for so long. He's a guy that you hear cussing like your uncle probably, and you just believe in everything he says. And maybe it's because they're next to Atlanta. I don't know, but they don't get the same hate that Alabama did, I feel like, or deny.
No, and I think Alabama is just always, and Georgia, I know in the South, definitely, but nationwide, Alabama is known for being the brand Alabama, right? And even in the time when I was first there in 2006, when it was from Mike Shula to Nick Saban and how that started to become the Alabama that it once was, like even during that time, like nobody was talking about Alabama until Saban got there. And then that was just like, from there it was win after win after win. But it was one of those things where I feel like Alabama is always going to be known for the football powerhouse that it is nationwide. We're here in the South. I know Georgia isn't getting a lot of people talking about them, but I just don't think they've been as good for that long. Like, that stretch of period for Alabama has been a long freaking time, right?
It has.
Well, one thing's for sure, Georgia has the best NFL prospect here in Nashville and tight end Brock Bowers.
Oh, my.
Who's going to make the rounds today. I think there is not a more can't-miss prospect, maybe other than Caleb Williams in college football this season, than that guy. I mean, he is a bona fide top 10 pick. He is a stud that will be, as a rookie in the National Football League this time next year, a number one wide receiver, not just a number one tight end.
Yeah.
I think that guy walks into an NFL locker room and does not feel intimidated whatsoever. And he will not walk onto the field in any circumstance this season and feel intimidated, because he's batting 2 for 2 on winning national championships his first 2 years as a college tight end.
And not
Pretty
just
impressive.
that, mossing people down the sideline. It's not like he's just being thrown open, or he has the skill set of Kelsey to just ooze into a zone. Like, this dude is straight up beating people and then outrunning folks, too. It's super unique. What I do wonder is, on the NFL level, you know how people always try to establish themselves and whatnot as coaches, and, hey, welcome to the big leagues. I wonder, because of his position of tight end, will they actually try to force him to be a blocker? Do you run it exactly as you said, Will, and be a guy that is an extension of the wide receivers and treat it as such? Like, he's a matchup nightmare is what he is.
It's Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
He is. You have to have a very specific linebacker or safety or even corner to be able to cover a guy like that, because if you don't, it's 40 yards a pop for him, because he's capable of doing it. And even bigger than that, y'all, is this. This is where I think Kirby kind of has the strongholds on everybody's mind. The kid ain't even from the South.
Yeah.
They went and got him out of California.
That's a track right there.
They went and got him out of California.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to suck for USC,
Well,
UCLA, Arizona.
Pac-12 in general.
The Pac-12 in
Did
general.
they drive the speed limit to go get him?
Well,
Probably
that's
not.
the
They probably
problem.
got pulled over 3 times on the way to California. The only other guy at a skilled position besides quarterback that's getting this much praise before the season starts is Paris Johnson Jr. up at Ohio State, which we all know he is probably going to be one of the top, wide receivers. And I know Brock is
Marvin
Harrison. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Probably one of the top wide receivers taken off the board, right? Well, this is a tight end, but can be used in, especially this Georgia offense, as kind of that wide out spot. Although he is a tight end, I think Georgia also doesn't get the praise as much offensively as it does defensively. Because coming into every season, it's just reload. We always talk about the defense, but they don't have Stetson Bennett anymore. They do have the quarterback that's coming in that should win the job.
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck that we just mentioned, and then you got Brock Bowers, who now is going to be the highlight for them offensively. But they don't get that much praise as much as these other programs do on the offensive side, just because they're known for their defensive
I was
power.
going to prematurely say that Brock Bowers could be the number 1 overall pick.
You think so?
Until you mentioned
Marvin Harrison.
Well, Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Whoever needs a quarterback. Caleb Williams might be the heir apparent to Kyler Murray in Arizona.
Yeah.
It might be.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Arizona might have the number 1 and 2 picks next season since they have theirs and they have the Houston Texans.
I wouldn't doubt it at this point.
Or they could trade back again. I mean, that's a larger discussion. But, Caleb Williams is the number 1 overall pick if he's healthy.
That's true. The quarterback position going to forever reign supreme. And I hate it. I want to punch that slot.
I know, but it ain't going anywhere.
It ain't going nowhere.
Just like the Heisman's going to go to probably a quarterback every year.
That's another discussion.
Well, it's like when Kyler Murray won the Rookie of the Year over A.J. Brown.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
That's exactly
Not the way it should have been, but it's the way it happened.
Right.
Quarterback award.
It's a quarterback award.
615-737-1045. One trend, I think, guys, that's interesting today, it is always rare that you get a day where a team isn't bringing their quarterback, and then the next team after them isn't bringing their quarterback. Out of the 4 teams today, 1 quarterback will speak to the media, and that's Mississippi State's Will Rogers, who is one of the veterans coming into this thing. And the SEC West has a great number of these between Jaden Daniels, who made the rounds yesterday for LSU. Of course, you got KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, who's been there since the Clinton administration at Arkansas.
Pretty much.
He's still sticking around. And then Will Rogers, who continues on under head coach Zach Arnett, who makes the rounds at SEC Media Days as head coach now for the first time. But between Vandy, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State, by far, Mississippi State has the most settled quarterback situation and is the only team out of those 4 bringing their quarterback. Vanderbilt will have linebacker Ethan Barr, safety Jalen Mahoney, wide receiver Will Sheppard, who we're hoping to get a chance to talk to in an hour this morning. Certainly not normal that you get 4 teams and only one of them has their QB here.
That's interesting.
I don't know if it's try to protect them. I don't know if it's because of the they may be in competition this fall and whatnot.
I think that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot. It shows to its teams, too. There's no commitment to any guy. College coaches do that all the time. It's just the optics of what it actually is in moments.
Right.
They can't say it because that's the one thing they can control, which is also why I continually say I don't know how we lost that much control at UT, because I almost look at college coaches as – what do you want to call them? Dictators, in a sense, rule with an iron fist. Like, they control everything. And that's what I think these coaches here, they didn't bring their quarterbacks to signify.
Well, in Vandy, it looks like it will be A.J. Swan, right? I mean, that looks to be the case, but I know he is a little bit younger. And sometimes also I feel like they need to give some of their older veteran players that have been in the program, that are leaders in the program, they, want them to be representing him here as well.
That's
so
true
that could
too,
be a
Caleb.
part of it, too.
And Clark Lee's at a point where he's really establishing himself and what he expects out of the culture of his team, too. He's in a very unique situation with all of the backing now with the new contract.
Yep.
Yeah, A.J. Swan figures to be that guy for Vanderbilt. We'll talk to Will Sheppard later today, the guy who had the big touchdown to beat Kentucky last season, that first signature win for Clark Lee, who gets rewarded with a new contract extension yesterday through 2029. Clark Lee speaking at the podium right after we are done today.
Yep.
I know he was on 3HL yesterday. We made the ask to maybe get him on. Sounds like he'll have too busy of a schedule this morning to join us. But hoping to have at least one representative from his program, and a good one in a wide receiver, Will Sheppard.
Yeah.
Coming up, the headline of the NFL yesterday, the deadline for franchised players comes and goes, and there are going to be 2 very significant holdouts going into NFL training camps that start later this week, plus a big conversation on that off-field culture at Georgia that we got into here a little bit to start hour 2. And a quirk when it comes to the Georgia program that I think is interesting, of something that Georgia has not had happen since Ramon Foster was playing college football.
Wowzers.
For the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. Coming up on Ramon, Caleb, and Will.
Zen Sports is the new sports book in Tennessee, and Zen Sports brand is focused on making sports betting better today and always. And they do it in so many ways, too. First and foremost, the welcome bonus. Earn 5% cash back on your bets for the first 15 days of betting on Zen Sports. This bonus is uncapped also, if you did not know. The cash reward programs earn 3% of your betting volume back as a cash deposit to your account every month. This happens every month on the first of every month. The referral rewards program also earn 3% of your referral betting volume as a reward for the first 6 months of betting on Zen Sports as a cash deposit to your account. It is easy, too. You can search and sort bets easily, set favorite teams, easiest experience possible when making or building parlays. Withdraw money within 24 hours and deposit instantly. 24/7 customer service. They got everything that you need. No gimmicky promotional bets that look too good to be true but rarely are. Again, Zen Sports is the best thing you can do, especially if you're online betting. So stop settling for Vegas rewards when they're right here in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. The terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
Tuesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And it's powered
Sorry.
by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045 is our number. A big discussion coming up on Georgia football as they make the rounds today at SEC Media Days 2023. But first, guys, running backs are not happy.
Nope.
And you can't blame them. In the National Football League today, Monday's deadline for franchised players to come to long-term contracts passed without deals for Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard. So each of those three guys now will have to play the 2023 season on their franchise tenders of $10.091 million. Tony Pollard has already signed his tender. Jacobs has not, and Saquon Barkley's camp is making the most noise, I would imagine, at this point because they are threatening pulling a Le'Veon Bell and not playing this season.
There's a lot when it comes down to this running back position. It just is. We talked about a few things yesterday as a group, and it was a hot topic yesterday on social media. The franchise tag is what it is. I'll just go union side real quick. Instead of in hindsight talking about issues that the NFL players have, let's have you superstar guys who get these franchise tags show up to union meetings and you really flex your muscle then.
Okay.
That's the biggest issue that we have. Our superstar guys like a Saquon, a Tony Pollard, Jacobs, like they don't show up and voice their opinions to my knowledge in years past.
Okay.
Maybe these guys have, but to have Nick Chubb, to have Derrick Henry, to have just all of these guys show up and as one to control the narratives about their position, what they're worth, they don't do it until they hit social media. Like this should be done behind closed doors when we're having those when they have those union meetings. That's the issue that we have. The powers that be don't flex their powers until it's too late.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think we've always looked at the running back position. Now, I'm not saying this is my personal opinion, but I think when you compare it to some of these other skilled positions, you look at that one, that's the one that has the shortest lifespan, right? That's the one where I think, I hate to use the word devalued because I think that's a very valuable position, but it is. It's devalued, and I feel like it's always kind of been that way. Like, I never feel like it's been a position where they're going to get paid more than the wide receiver, obviously not more than the quarterback, right? But it is interesting to hear you say that they haven't maybe voiced their opinions in a bigger way, and it's getting to now this point that they're realizing, oh my gosh, we've got to do something about this because you've got a few guys on the market right now that are pretty big names.
And they're good.
Who are looking for a home, and then you've got a guy like Saquon who is got to the point now that he's so unhappy that he's not going to be able to get a new contract at this point, at least, that he's thinking about sitting out at this point of his career, coming off of the season that he did. I feel like that's
Kayla,
some concern.
If I'm not mistaken, I feel like this. You said this in your coverage of the tight ends that came here for tight end U. They're not just doing this to get together and run routes and break down. Hey, this is what this guy does. This is what that guy does. They're coming together for what other reasons, Kayla?
Money. They want
and
more
notoriety,
money.
right? And position importance. Those are the things they're doing. They have enough superstars at the running back position because that is the one position almost every kid picks up. If you're not trying to be a quarterback, right? Because even the wide receivers want to play quarterback when they're little, right?
Sure.
You're wanting to be a running back.
Yeah.
Why not get all of you guys together and say this is what we need to be doing? There's enough star power and importance in this league that those guys can do at RBU type of situation, right?
Yeah.
That could be one of the first things that they can do as a team. Or as a group. And this situation, I took this thought from somebody else this morning. I told you I was going to use it. The reason Tony Pollard isn't getting paid is because of Tony Pollard.
Sure.
The reason why Saquon isn't getting paid is because of that. And let me go just the Tony Pollard route. When they paid Zeke, Tony Pollard played behind Zeke, and then instantly everybody said, wow, the backup may be better. So now you put Dallas in a position, or other teams are looking at the position and say, oh, wow, the guy that was the star that we paid $15 million a year to, his backup is outdoing him right now. Look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Kansas City.
Yeah.
His situation is the exact same thing. They go and draft him, I think, 32nd pick in the first round just 3-4 years ago. And now in the Super Bowl, they have a guy who was drafted in the 6th or 7th round, Isaiah Pacheco, that ended up being the star of the game. So much so he was on stage at the ESPYs this year. So why would I give a franchise tag or give a fifth-year option to CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, when Isaiah Pacheco came in and basically won us the Super Bowl. And on that same Super Bowl team, what's his name? Miles, that was with the running back Miles, that was with Philly. Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders
was on a Super Bowl team to help usher that team to the Super Bowl, and his team didn't even re-sign him.
Yeah,
he's in Carolina.
He's in Carolina.
Can I say this then? Can I pose this question? Is Derrick Henry in the best position in terms of a running back right now just because of the value that he gets here in Tennessee, or could that be changing even?
2, maybe 3 guys have the most value in NFL. You got Derrick Henry, because the history of this franchise always suggested. Nick Chubb.
That's where I was going next.
Maybe Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
And Alvin.
And I was going to say Alvin Kamara before the off-the-field stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
Which was dropped from a felony.
Right, but he still
but he still had it. Yeah. But we got 2 knowns, 2 in the possible. Because Alvin's at that point now. It's like, okay, Alvin, you need a big year to say you're still in that conversation. Is that
I
fair
agree.
to say?
No, I think that's fair.
So from the union perspective, guys, it's crazy to me that the average cap dollars of a running back is $1.8 million. The average cap number for a kicker is $2.2 million.
Wow.
According to Spot Track. There are less elite kickers than there are running backs. And this is where I think the NFL Players Union has a fight on their hands. Not every position's rookie deals should last the same amount of time.
Fair.
Running backs are out of their prime by the time their rookie deals are over. That the simple fix in this is that a rookie deal for a running back should be 3 years. Should be 3.
And
with
it's
a 4th year
right
option.
Now?
It's a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Running backs should be the ones petitioning to the Players Union saying, let us get paid a year earlier.
Yeah.
Those guys should be allowed to get their extensions after 2 seasons in the National Football League, and you should only be able to hold on to a running back for 4 years if that's what they want. If they want more security, if they want long-term protection, that is the next step for the Players Union. Now, there's little chance that the National Football League goes that direction and says, yeah, sure, we're going to make an exception for one position, because then you open Pandora's box and you've got other sects of that Players Union saying, now, wait a minute, what about us? You know, what about quarterbacks who want to get paydays? What if you're Joe Burrow who wants to get a payday much earlier? Because teams will do that for players in order to keep a quarterback around long term, because right now quarterbacks are on a pretty good deal.
They are.
Where teams are in their strongest Super Bowl window and position of strength when they have a rookie quarterback that allows them to spend money on the rest of their positions. So that, to me, is where the Players Union is going to have to go to the National Football League and say, this is the only way this is going to change, because there are so many day 2 and 3 running backs that can be feature backs year 1 in the National Football League, that rookie, 2nd, and 3rd-year backs are so effective. By the time they get to years 5 and 6, there's an influx of new backs that can do the exact same job they just did, whereas those running backs who are just on the end of their rookie deals don't have the same value they did years prior.
Who was the highest drafted running back in the last 5 years?
Should still be Saquon Barkley.
Is it still Saquon who went number 2?
It was Saquon. Right? It was Todd Gurley before him.
Okay, that's right.
And
Gurley,
my
gosh.
And Ezekiel Elliott around that time as well.
Dang.
Because Zeke was in top 10. He was 6th, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Talk about a short-lived career for Gurley when you go back and look at that. I mean, that seems like a blip on the map at this point.
Well, he played in the Super Bowl.
Well, that's another reason why the running back position's been devalued, too.
4th overall, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
16.
That's another reason it's been devalued.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, so in order for you to say, well, they need to cut the time short for running back's contract, something extreme has to happen. They have to revolt. That's first thing first. And how many are willing to do that collectively across the league? Because I've seen wide receivers, Cordero Patterson, go play running back.
Yeah.
That's the other issue you're having, too. Another reason why the position's been devalued. Matt Miller tweeted this out yesterday, which is where the storm of tweets came from when it came to Derrick Henry replying back and other running backs saying the same thing. We saw every running back actually speak up yesterday on social media. Almost every starter. Matt Miller put this out at NFL Draft Scout. He said this, been saying it for years after, I guess, the franchise tags weren't signed or deals weren't made by those 2 running backs. He said this, 1, draft a running back. Cool. 2, play the running back. They want to. If he's good, franchise tag the running back 1 time. And then draft the running back. The thing that sucks about it, though, Kayla, this is true.
I know.
Because business has showed us this. Like, you're mentioning one thing to say, oh, we got to be fair to the running backs, and I think there is a level of fairness that has to be put out in front of those guys. You almost kind of say to yourself, well, do I want to be a second, third-round pick as opposed to a first-rounder?
Yeah.
That's the other thing, too. But we all have to realize this. The game that we're speaking about is backed by a business. Mm-hmm. Business ain't
Tuesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We are back live from SEC Media Days, where it just means more internet issues.
Oh, boom, boom.
As everyone around us at the same time all had a panicked look on their face. Internet dropping here. Not a great endorsement for Nashville, as we try to keep SEC Media Days here, but that's okay.
That's all right. The Grand Hyatt working on those issues, and we're back up, so that's good.
We're acting like this is a doggone, what are we, ACC?
Well, yeah.
Or the Big 12.
It just means less.
Big 12, exactly.
Right?
We essentially what happened was Ramon was preaching so much about the value of running backs that somebody in the National Football League heard us unionizing all the running backs in the National Football League Players Union.
Cut us off.
And you were then axed. Somebody, Roger Goodell cut the line.
Cut
That
the
way
line.
running
I bet you
backs
he
can't
did.
get paid in the NFL.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what happened.
Pull my plug,
100%.
man.
They called the office up there, and they were like, Goodell, this guy's going on a rant. You got to shut him down.
Or, sidebar, maybe someone from Georgia sped over to the hotel
More likely.
and then cut the line because we're about to talk about all the off-field issues around
Hey,
Georgia football.
it could have been Panda. It could have been Isaiah Wilson, for all we
He
know.
doesn't speed to do much other than go to the cold tub after he doesn't play any snaps.
Or campus parties.
Yeah, all he speeds
Oh, did we
are
go
to-
there?
We
Oops.
did.
The only thing he speeds to do is go on a yacht in Miami and not play football for the Tennessee Titans.
That's tough.
No sympathy for that, man.
I am sympathetic to the running back position, though. I hate it.
I am too.
I hate it, man. But it is what it is. And it ain't. Something's got to change, though. To have Derek tweet about it as we get right back to it before we go into Georgia issues, my only advice is take that passion to the offseason.
Yep.
Like, go to those union meetings. Like, go talk to the front. Like, the reason the quarterback club is what it is because in the early 90s, they actually had a quarterbacks club to kind of bring those guys together to be separate from the NFL. And from that point on, I feel like they have been on the forefront of everything NFL leading as far as player pay and respect.
One more quick question, because you said it might take somebody doing something or a couple guys doing something. The likeliness that Saquon holds out is?
He in New York with a New York market.
It's hard, huh?
It's hard to say because he got a guy, and I know a guy, too, that did this, and it didn't work out well for him. It did as far as the 1 or 2 years, but if they're willing to cater to Saquon's style of running, his playmaking ability in New York and the New York market, that's what sucks about it because I'm hoping to have Le'Veon on my podcast soon to actually talk to him about what that decision to hold out meant and how it affected his career and legacy. Just simply because it's one thing to get the bread. It's one thing that you need to be able to have a legacy too. And that's where it plays a huge part into the running back position.
Sorry, there was food going by and I got distracted.
That's just where I am.
No, you're right, though.
It's a finicky place to be as a running back.
Yep.
We go to the early 2000s, we're not even having this conversation.
Yeah.
It could have been argued that the running back was more important than the freaking quarterback in those moments.
But they still weren't getting paid that,
No,
right?
They weren't, but the importance and longevity was there a little bit more. Like all these stats and analytics only showed us what? If I can get two guys to do the job of one for less, then I'm going to go with the two guys. Give me Thunder and Lightning. Right now, heck, we're looking over Derek's shoulder and see what Tajay going to do.
Yeah.
Tajay Spears is going to do, right?
And the Titans have really drafted a running back for the past 4 years. What? I mean, remember Darrington Evans?
Yep.
You got Hassan Haskins.
Steele.
You got Tajay Spears, right?
Deontay Foreman. Deontay Foreman is the reason why the price of the running back is
You're
low.
right.
Dontrell Hilliard. I mean,
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is the Titans, when they were the number one seed in the AFC, played half the season with two backup running backs splitting one guy's job.
And got the one seed.
I mean, if there was any example of why the running back position is devalued the way that it is, then it's that season in 2021 for the Titans.
So I really want to be sympathetic to what's going on at the running back position. And Derek ain't wrong. Nick Chubb ain't wrong, y'all. But, like, Derek went down for a foot.
Yeah.
And they still got the one seed while still having was he a 1,000-yard rusher that year too?
No,
he was
But
not.
they still overhad. What was that? 2021.
Yeah.
That this happened. Like they still.
He's on pace for 2,000 again.
He was on pace for 2,000.
Yeah.
But they still were able and capable of having a running game.
Sure.
And got the number one overall seed while he was out.
Right.
Most quarterbacks, if they're out, you don't get the number one overall seed in the playoffs, right?
And some would argue they should have played Foreman. probably instead of Henry in the playoffs. So
I have to. If we're around Derek, we'll have to ask that question. So, what do you say for you to be out and your team get the number 1 overall seed still?
Yeah,
training camp starts next week.
Like, we saw the effects of A.J. Brown being out, right, last year, and kind of still see it right now. We saw the effects of not having Taylor Lewan at left tackle. A running back being out, we don't really see the effects of them being out. I will say this, to Le'Veon's credit, we did see when he went out in a game against the New England Patriots, we nosedived.
Mm-hmm.
That was a case, but his position was at the time, too. He was a running back / wide receiver.
Yeah.
He was.
There you go.
My guess is at this point that Saquon Barkley doesn't attend a single training camp practice and is playing week 1. That would be my hunch at this point because the proof of concept is there.
Yeah.
Running backs and players in general in the National Football League, unless you are a quarterback, do not have the leverage that they think they do. And we saw it with Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
All the team has to do is wait you out and say, we're going to keep finding you until you keep not showing up. And just know that we'll replace you, and we're not going to be able to tell the difference, but you will be able to tell the difference in your paycheck if you are not here. I mean, even the situation with Jeffrey Simmons, if the Titans really wanted to be as frugal as possible with him, they could have waited and tagged him and then tagged him again. They could have gotten 3 more years out of this thing before they ever, quote-unquote, had to pay an extension. Now, you do that.
Yeah,
you're being frugal. You have less on your cap in some positions, not necessarily the case with Jeffrey Simmons because you can manipulate the cap and make that number look a lot lower on the front end.
Yeah.
You do that, you burn a bridge with a player, and that guy's likely not going to re-sign with you long term. But as far as the financials go, the Titans and other NFL teams have all of the leverage unless you are a quarterback.
Let me say this real quick. What happened? So 2 things real quick. What happened when Le'Veon held out too was we still had a Pro Bowl running back that year. That didn't help the running back market too. And Jeffrey's situation is this. Let's exclude Derek. Let's exclude Nick Chubb. Let's exclude McCaffrey real quick though, right? The thing about the difference between Jeffrey and running backs, Jeffrey Simmons and NFL running backs is this. It's hard to find a Jeffrey Simmons. On this roster, there's only one type of Jeffrey Simmons. On any other NFL roster, there's only one Chris Jones, right? But there's like collectively a lot of them in the league, so you treasure those guys. On this team, if Derek wasn't here, I still think y'all would feel fine about what the running back position is.
Well, especially if Hassan wasn't going through the stuff he's going through, right?
Yeah.
But still, you'd be okay.
Feel more comfortable still.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the other thing that teams are starting to do now, too. They are starting to somewhat put more of an emphasis on the offensive line.
Well, yeah, but we've seen that.
If we got that, then we got a running game.
And here's the thing with Saquon, too, that you have to realize is Saquon is kind of hurting himself if he waits a year. Like we've talked about the running back longevity, the age. He's already been through all those injuries. Like, to me, he can't afford to sit out a year.
Nope.
Like, that's a year wasted.
Yeah, and it's hard to get back in the game after a year at that position.
Especially with the injury issues that guy's had.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every year Saquon Barkley can play and prove that he can be available for 17 games. That's your value right there.
I agree.
It really is. So if you don't have a Derrick Henry, what do you have then? You have a plug-and-play guy.
Right.
If you don't have a Nick Chubb, you got a plug-and-play guy. And it's a lot of those guys around the league that are helping teams win.
Right. Well, getting back to the SEC headlines here today as Vandy, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State make the rounds at SEC Media Days. There is one thing, Ramon Foster, that Georgia has not had happen to them since you were playing.
Uh-oh.
Do you have any guesses of what I'm going to say here?
Georgia has had happen to them?
What had happened?
What had happened? I don't have a clue.
Georgia has not been picked to win the SEC at SEC Media Days since 2004.
What?
Through this entire run, 2-time defending national champions. They beat Alabama in the national championship game. Georgia has not been picked to win the SEC championship at SEC Media Days since 2004. Obviously, that's going to change this week. Georgia will far and away be the favorite to win the SEC, and specifically the SEC East, because they're going to play basically the Conference USA's Eastern Division schedule over the first, 8-9 games of their schedule before they play Tennessee. But Georgia did not even win the SEC East that season. Shout out to those 2004 Tennessee Volunteers who would go on to play Auburn in that SEC championship game. But at this point, guys, there is a level of expectations on Georgia that have not been put upon them within the conference legitimately since 2004. It has been 20 years since the last time Georgia had this much hype at this week.
Yeah.
Is this why we overlook Georgia more than we did Bama when it comes down to what they're capable of? Because that's, I've always said this until the last couple of years, and I even said it last year. We, as UT, always felt we had a way to beat Georgia, even when they were those type of trench monsters.
Georgiaing was a verb for
choking
on the biggest stage at that point.
That's the thing, the consistency, like I brought up earlier. Alabama had that, right, under Nick Saban. I mean, it was a consistent power force every single year. And I'm not saying they're not still that point, but now we're questioning the offense. We're questioning the quarterback.
Yep.
There's been a little bit of a decrease in terms of, like, it's Bama, right? Whereas now Georgia, okay, they're starting to win natties. They're starting to consistently year after year get the one of the top recruiting classes. And now we're starting to realize, okay, Georgia is that team.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. But wow, I can't believe
2004?
But then you look at it, though, too, and you say to yourself, well, you expected Bama to bounce back last year.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case. But the SEC is getting real sticky as far as just if A&M and Petrino and Jimbo can come together.
And that was crazy yesterday, too, that whole thing. There's Will Sheppard right there.
I loved it, man. Absolutely. Oh, I loved it. Some players are starting to roll in a little bit.
From Vandy.
I've seen a lot of V's around here this morning, too. Vandy, right down the street, though. Oh, yeah.
They're ready to represent their hometown.
They are ready to rep.
Yeah, for Georgia, that 2004 team had a young DJ Shockley as a junior at quarterback. That team a while ago. Yeah, David Green, the senior of that team, of course, the leader and the starting quarterback. I remember watching that game in Athens. I wasn't there, but that game in 2004 when Tennessee beat Georgia 19-14, which ultimately won them the SEC East in 2004, that is one of the first big upsets that I can remember Tennessee having as a kid.
Man, I remember that. I was a young guy not knowing what I didn't know, but look at the guys on this team. Thomas Davis is on this team. Trey Battle was solid. Just even the offensive line. I remember Max Jean Gillies being that dude. Huge.
Fernando Velasco.
Oh, man, Fernando's on that team. I played with Leonard Pope on this team, too,
I was
man.
Say, you got probably a lot of teammates and opponents that you remember playing.
Quinn Moses, remember?
Quinn Moses.
David Pollock was a senior on that
Pollock
defense.
was a
monster.
And his last game against Tennessee was a 19-14 Tennessee win.
That was the game in which Aaron Sears became the guy.
Yes.
Because Aaron Sears blocked the heck out of Pollock that game.
That was your freshman year.
Yeah, that was my freshman year. And Sears was a guy that was coming up. All legend.
We don't talk enough about the fact that you were 2-0 in Athens in your career.
100%.
Because it was 19-14 and 04, and then the half 100 game was 06.
Yes, sir.
When you guys put up 50 on Georgia in Athens. And again, that's why the Georgia fans that get so mad at Eric Ainge and at Tennessee players from Ramon's era who make the point that Georgia's atmosphere is not intimidating. It wasn't back then.
It wasn't.
It is now. It was not back then.
But they had some crazy players on this team. You mentioned this group. Thomas Davis to me is a freaking legend on this team.
Gosh,
okay,
are you kidding me?
I mean, let's be honest, man. And of course, I don't think there was a better strong safety than Greg Blue. You remember him being a menace?
That was the last time Georgia was picked to win the SEC at SEC meetings.
And they should have been picked, Will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 615-737-1045, the number if you want to join in on the discussion. Coming up next in Hour 3, hoping to have Vanderbilt wide receiver Will Sheppard stop by the table. We'll get his thoughts on his head coach's contract extension, which we'll give you more details on coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll also be joined by Brad Crawford of 247 Sports at 8:20. He was able to catch up one-on-one with one of the guys who is being talked about the most at SEC Media Days this week, Brian Kelly. We'll get his thoughts on that conversation as well. Second half of the show, hour number 3, upcoming on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson and Ramon Foster with Window Nation. And Moan, can you feel it? The AC is definitely cranked up in here, so maybe they have Window Nation windows because guess what? They're probably saving money if they do. It is that time of year, guys. We are in July, almost hitting August, so that means the heat, the humidity is ramping up, and your AC is probably going up, and that means your energy bills are on the rise. So our friends at Window Nation have a great deal to beat the heat with Window Nation's summer sale. They can, and you can, save thousands today, no money down, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. Plus, get this, Window Nation is going to go ahead and give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. So why not increase the value of your home today? You can simply see more at windownation.com.
And this is the best thing. All they do is windows, too, and they're experts at it. Installed over 200,000 windows last year. That's 40 times more than the average window company, with 96% of them requiring no follow-up service. They measure each window 3 times to ensure proper fits. Over 10,000 online positive reviews. Listen to us. This is the best thing that you can do for your home if you're having window issues, is to reach out to Window Nation, 866-90Nation, or go online at windownation.com.
Check it out.
8:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. It's been a tumultuous road this offseason for running backs, as none of the teams who were tagged by their teams were able to come to a long-term agreement. In the end, 3 franchise tag players received long-term deals this offseason. Lamar Jackson with a 5-year, $260 million deal. A defensive tackle from the Commanders, Daron Payne, with 4 years, $90 million. And Jacksonville tight end Evan Ingram with 3 years, $41 million. Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and Saquon Barkley were all left out in the cold by their teams, but running backs all over the league have been affected, as Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones have been asked to take pay cuts this offseason. Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, and Leonard Fournette were cut, and Austin Eckler asked for a new deal and asked to be traded, and he didn't get either one of those things. In the SEC, Vanderbilt has signed head coach Clark Lee to an extension through 2029. Under Lee, Vanderbilt went 5-7 in 22 after going 2-10 in his first year as head coach. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Tuesday morning edition of RKW continues into the second half, the radio show that gets better as the game goes on. Right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Kirby Allen Kirby making the show happen here from the Grand Hyatt live at 2023 SEC Media Days. Robert Walsh back in our downtown Nashville studios. I'm Will Bowling. We will have Brad Crawford of 247 Sports, who will join us coming up here in just a few minutes. Looking forward to talking with Vanderbilt wide receiver Will Sheppard as well here in hour number 3. As now everyone wakes up and decides they're going to join us in this hallway at the Grand Hyatt. Much more lively now than it was when we were here at 5:30 this morning.
Yeah, that's when we get distracted. Like I said, there was food going by earlier, which doesn't happen too often.
Don't put me in that.
My eyes were like wandering to that direction, and then the hustle and bustle starts to get a little bit more prevalent at this time of the day. And internet was going a little bit awry a few minutes ago. So not just for us, we got back on because of Kirby. But many of these folks here were scrambling a little, so.
They were, man, which is awesome, though. Everybody, usually they probably wake up about 6:15, get the workout in, shower up, hit the steam room, shower again, and then get some coffee and then head over. Nobody knows about the 6 a.m. life. You know what I'm saying?
It's a different lifestyle.
Other than the other folks that's on the road with us at that time. I'm here for it, though.
Many of the biggest fan bases represented in Nashville will be making the rounds at SEC Media Days today. Auburn and Georgia, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, the 4 teams that are on Tuesday duty here at 2023 SEC Media Days in Nashville. Auburn, the team we haven't discussed quite as much. Luke Deal, Elijah McAllister, Cameron Stutz. Who's to say? Making their way around the hallway and the ballroom here at SEC Media Days. And guys, Auburn is that team that we don't talk about quite as much because Hugh Freeze has a lot of ground to make up in recruiting and a lot of positions that were neglected under Brian Harsin and under Gus Malzahn, quite frankly, up front on an offensive line that completely has to be rebuilt. But Auburn, a team right now that's trying to figure out recruiting. And, they haven't brought in quite as many recruits, guys, but the ones they have brought in have been quality. Ranked near the bottom of the SEC right now when it comes to recruiting, but each guy they've added has been in that 4-star range.
They have. I think they got 9 4-stars. As 24/7 has it right now.
Solid at this point.
Very solid, with their highest being quarterback out of Little Rock. So it'll be fascinating what they turn into. Kayla, I know you and Will both know them very well.
Yeah.
Auburn likes to win.
Unfortunately,
yeah, of course
I know
they
that.
do.
Auburn likes to
Yeah.
be in the show, and they have a standard a lot like every other SEC school. I don't
Yeah.
want to make it seem like it's just nobody has this standard, but no, Auburn, I'm used to them being good and being one of those teams that's at the forefront of everything.
And here's the thing. I think
How's it
everybody's questioning Hugh Freeze. Like, what can Hugh Freeze do at
Nice to
that
meet you.
level in terms of he's now no longer at Liberty, right? He's in
Right.
the SEC. I mean, this is going to be a task for him to be battling with some of the best programs in the country and battling against some of the best coaches in the country as well. So I think we're all kind of waiting to see, what does Hugh Freeze do? Can he be a long-term solution for that program who has kind of had coaches come and go?
Yes, 100%. So we will see what he turns into. Of course, Hugh Freeze isn't met with any of the easiest challenges when it comes down to, his pathway to getting back to the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
He's had some stuff to happen, and I know for a fact that he's wanting to redeem himself. The second chances is always a story in sports, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So there's pressure there to perform because he's back in the SEC, but most coaches will tell you they want to thrive and live in that world anyway.
We're going to have a couple of updates for you coming up here in just a moment as we continue from SEC Media Days 2023. We're going to have Ethan Barr, linebacker from Vanderbilt, who is here and ready to join us in just a moment as Kirby Allen Kirby will get him set up here with us at the table. But that's the big headline yesterday afternoon was Clark Lee, head coach at Vanderbilt, a new contract extension for him and a big season with big expectations coming up for Vanderbilt football. As we have Ethan Barr join us this morning at the table here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We are good. What's this experience been like for you so far? Your early takeaways here in Nashville.
Well, it's been pretty awesome. We just got here this morning. We had practice, so coming from that, it was a good opportunity to get some work in since we're in Nashville. So that's what we did this morning, and it's good to be here.
I just kind of want to ask you real quick. Everybody else that flew in, probably flew in on, a private jet because they're with the team and stuff like that. Like, they couldn't get you a helicopter over here this morning?
Hey, we had a police escort. We had a police escort.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I had to make sure anything.
Is that kind of cool, though, just being right down the road? And SEC Media Days, obviously been in Hoover, been in some of these other cities, but now Nashville representing and being able to host. Does it feel any different, just having everything here?
It's really nice. I remember in the past couple of years, our players had to go somewhere else and had miss a day or whatever. So it's really convenient that we get to be here. And actually, after this, I'm going to my internship. So it's kind of like go back to normal life.
Where
right
is that
after
at?
this. I'm at Nashville Soccer Club. I'm working with marketing.
Oh,
so.
all right.
Okay, he's the play-by-play.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
There we go.
Broadcaster here on the zone.
Need
Yeah.
to
There we go.
exchange
I
numbers.
know, right?
You can do it now because NIL is a part of it. Okay?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Vandy linebacker Ethan Barr with us here this morning on Ramon, Kayla, Will. So, Ethan, did your coach, did Clark Lee have a little bit more pep in his step this morning, a little more energy after the big news yesterday of his contract extension?
Yeah. He came out with a little energy this morning, and
That's awesome.
we got to work this morning. So he always whenever we start practice, he's always like, all right, I already got y'all beat. I did 10 miles on the bike this morning. So
Dang.
he's always getting after us. So.
He's like that.
You should have told him. I don't see how you ran 10 miles with all that cash holding you down. That would have been the comeback right there.
Ethan, for you being a senior and just the leadership that you are kind of taking upon yourself this year, like how important is that for you to just coming into this year with that mentality as this team continues to take steps in the right direction?
It's very important. I'm blessed to be in the position that I am.
Yeah.
I've kind of worked myself into this position and gained respect from our teammates. And so, I'm really excited to be one of the leaders on this team. And we got so many, so we kind of work collectively to kind of guide our team in the right direction. So I'm really excited what this season has to bring.
What's it like playing linebacker for Clark Lee, a guy that understands that position, who is just so intelligent? I love just picking his brain and understanding the nuances, I would imagine, of that position, but just defense as a whole. Got to be a fun head coach to play for.
It is. Right when he got here, he was really running our individual drills, and so we were doing everything that he done. He's a technician, so it was all down to the smallest things, where your feet are placed and how you push and your shuffle and all those kinds of things. And then he brought in Coach Nick Lazinski, who was kind of like his right-hand man at ND, and so he was able to continue that. And so it's been great, and Coach Lee's always there and helping us out, whether in practice or game, things like that, and really giving us just tips here and there about how to play linebacker. So
How has it been in the SEC as a starter at the linebacker position where across the league, in the NFL, have hopes and dreams of doing that, look, if I ball out, get my numbers, make my tackles, be sure fire in the passing game, that I can make it to the next level right here from Vanderbilt, playing a prime position of linebacker.
Yeah, it's so possible. I think Vanderbilt has had a past of sending linebackers to the league.
Yep.
And so that's another reason I chose Vanderbilt. I know that was something that Vanderbilt kind of hung their hat on and had been sending linebackers. And so I'm really excited about what this year has to offer and be able to prove myself and hopefully go to the next level here soon. So.
No doubt.
What should we look out for this year with this Vanderbilt team?
I mean, we have so many guys coming back. I think we have a lot of experience, and I think we're going to be able to work ourselves and build into a very dominant defense. Our offense has a lot of guys returning too. The offensive line is strong. We have a good quarterback, a lot of good skill guys too. And so I'm really excited about what this team has to bring to the SEC, and I think we're going to be a force to reckon with, really. And we know it's going to be a lot of work, but I think it's possible. So
having guys on your team that want to be here in Nashville, not just for the city, but for Vanderbilt, and to have your coach Clark Lee come in and reset the culture. You guys had a quarterback situation last year that it kind of worked itself out. We'll just say that, right? And to see the movement that he wants to make as a coach for you guys, how encouraging is that to know that he played here, he's from here, and this university is now on a better pathway?
Yeah, we know he is here for us.
Yeah.
Like, he has expressed that. He's here for us. He's here to make us the best people we are, the best man we can be, and the best player that we can be. And so he's really helped develop us into not only great players but great men, and really taught us about leadership and things like that. He's been very great about leadership development. And so holistically, Vanderbilt has become a great place to play in the SEC, I believe.
Ethan, on the way out, man, what's it like going to college in Nashville? Like, I imagine, like, for those of us that didn't go to school here, like, just being in this city all the time and going to school here has got to be a blast.
It is. It's a good time. There's always stuff to do here. I mean, you got every type of food that you could want here.
Sure.
I live off campus now, so that's nice. It's good to, and I finally know the city. I finally know where to. I got a car up here.
How to park,
I know where to park. Know where not to park. That's the most important thing. But it's a great place to live. It's a great place to go to school.
So does Coach Lee have, like, the off-the-beaten-path recommendations for you guys? Because, like, as, like, those of us that were born here and have, like, grown up here, it feels like Clark knows, like, old Nashville. Now he coaches in new Nashville. Like, is he, like, giving you any, like, hole-in-the-wall spots to try out?
He hasn't told me any yet, but I might have to pick his brain about that. I'm sure he knows some.
For sure. Absolutely. Vandy linebacker Ethan Barr, our guest, man. Best of luck this season. Definitely. And enjoy this circus. It's a good time, and really appreciate the time.
Thank you. I hope that you can get a helicopter back to campus.
Yeah.
That's all I want for you.
With this bridge out, you might need it.
He's used to the construction because Vandy right now, it's all over the place,
Absolutely.
right?
I think I drove like 2 miles yesterday. It took me like 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about right.
Yep.
That's about right.
Get you a helicopter.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ethan. Appreciate it.
All right, there's Ethan Barr with us here on Ramon, Kalen, Will. We'll get to Brad Crawford at 247 coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.
If you have a wet basement or crawl space, it's time to call United Structural Systems. We've all heard about these guys for a long time and for good reasons, and that's because they've served Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they've helped thousands of satisfy residential customers in that time. They are the go-to company when it comes to foundation repair and waterproofing. And if you have a wet basement or crawl space, you don't have to put up with that. Water intrusion and moisture can give you all sorts of problems down the road, and you want to get this fixed. It could be because you have poor drainage, the surface water flooding over the walls, or underwater pressure forcing water into the basement. It could be a plumbing leak. You just don't know. But the team at United Structural Systems will find out why you have a wet basement or crawl space, and will give you a plan to fix it. And if you do decide to move forward, you don't have to pay a dime until the work is done and you are satisfied. So get that free estimate from the people I trust. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call them. 615-492-2226. That's 615-492-2226.
Back with you live from SEC Media Days 2023 here in Nashville, Tennessee. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you here on RKW. And we are joined by our good friend Brad Crawford from 247 Sports, talking a little bit of college football this morning. What's up, Brad? How are you?
Good to see you, man.
You
here
too?
in Nashville for SEC Media Days.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
baby.
Nashville this year, Dallas next year. Dallas, the place where cowboy hats are actually welcome. Here, you are a tourist if you're a cowboy hat
True.
wearer. There, you might actually fit in a little.
I can't believe we're already catering to Texas.
I know.
In year one? Are you serious?
Right?
This is the SEC. Like, they have to earn their keep.
Yeah.
That's right. You know?
I will say this on you guys' site on 247. Heck, you got them in the SEC rankings also.
Already,
as far as
huh?
recruiting.
Already.
Texas and they hadn't. Come on, Brad. What are you guys doing?
They do
man?
recruit like an SEC program,
They
though.
do.
They got to get ahead of
They just
schedule.
actually have to play like one.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Can you imagine what that's going to be like, though, real quick, that UT versus UT, other UT thing?
It's going to be very interesting because you're going to see Arch Manning play.
We will.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers will be a first-round pick in April, so seeing Arch next year, loaded
Is
five-star roster.
He actually the guy, Quinn? Because the reports were he was a little finicky in the spring.
No, Quinn's the guy. Man.
Quinn's the guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
Quinn's the
All
guy.
right, for sure.
He's a top 5 player nationally, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You heard it here first.
So, Brad, I hear the praise is already pouring in about our show. Like, you're getting angry.
So yeah, I've got
What's happening here?
bone to pick with Will especially.
Okay,
So I
Uh-oh.
got a DM about 30 minutes ago saying that Will had some not so nice things to say about Georgia's schedule.
Sure.
Said they played a quote Conference USA type schedule pre-Tennessee. Well, one of those games comes against Shane Beamer in
Against
South
South
Carolina
Yes.
between the hedges. So I told the guy who DM'd me, a friend of mine, that I would bring that up on the show and
Okay,
let you kind of, state your case.
They are what? Is the stats right that they are a double-digit favorite right now in every game until they go to Tennessee?
And last season, Kirby went into Williams-Brice and won like 45-7.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Brock Bowers had like
Yeah.
250 total yards.
look, if anyone respects South Carolina, it is those of us that were watching Tennessee very closely last year. I
Yeah.
can certainly promise
yeah.
Still not
oh,
over.
yeah, that might have been the personal shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
probably
63 points.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. Oopsies.
Tennessee show I had to, man.
Oopsies.
Sorry.
First time seeing you in person, Brad.
I know,
and
man.
we can't do this,
I
man.
know.
Fair. One guy who was given a lot of credit to Tennessee yesterday, LSU's Brian Kelly, who I know you got the chance to catch up with.
Yeah.
And that Tennessee game for LSU was a major talking point of that was kind of the turning point of that season for the team that ultimately ended up representing, of course, the SEC West. Wow. How do you judge this LSU team now in 2023? Because it feels like we just know more things about them than we do Alabama at this point. There are way less question marks about that team than there is the Crimson Tide.
I actually asked Brian Kelly off to the side yesterday. I got about 5 minutes with him. You know, he's one of the winningest active coaches without a national championship. And the reason he left Notre Dame to come to Baton Rouge is because he gets a different caliber of athlete,
Sure.
and he knows eventually a title's going to come. So I asked him what's it going to take in Baton Rouge to win a championship, and he said the resources are in place. So y'all know what that means inside college football. NIL's there, booster support's
Yep.
there. I mean, they're paying for baseball players. If you pay for
Truth.
baseball players, then you're going to get who you want on
Yeah.
the gridiron. So I think Brian Kelly knows that, the pieces are in place, maybe not this season, but next season to really make a run and, jump into that 12-team playoff.
I have a question about that because we had Mike Golick Jr. on, last week, and I asked him, the lies that he told about I'm never leaving, and next week he was gone because
Yeah.
wife said, hey, guess what? It's okay.
Yeah.
This is okay to leave. But do you think other coaches in other conferences or universities look at the place that they're at and say, yeah, we're going to compete well, but we really don't have a chance, a guy like a Brian Kelly?
I think if you don't coach in the SEC or Big Ten right now and you're a Power 5 head coach, then you're always kind of nudging your agent, hey, what's out there for
Yeah.
me? Like the Northwestern job doesn't look all that attractive, but you're going to be one of the highest paid coaches in college football, and you're going to get part of that Big Ten money. So you take the losses, you take the check, and you get in one of those two super leagues now that is the SEC and Big Ten.
Do you think this era of SEC ball, you covered it, understand I just played it, so my head was down in the dirt with how I view the SEC.
Sure.
But this flock of coaches that we have right now, probably some of the best that we've seen as far as talent, brain trust, and just honestly stardom.
I think it's really good, man. You're probably looking at maybe 4 of the top 10 coaches in college football are in the SEC. I think if the SEC had maybe a Lincoln Riley or a Ryan Day also.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it'd be the best ever. But even last season, I mean, Ryan Day in Ohio State played Georgia better than any team in college football did. And Ryan Day's 45-6, and he's on the proverbial hot seat.
Crazy.
So a lot of pressure at Ohio State this season.
Going back to LSU and Brian Kelly yesterday, and he was asked the question, what do you got to do to beat Georgia? So I found it interesting because Alabama just seems like, that's no longer in the question, which is funny because it's still a Nick Saban-led football team. There are questions about this team this year. But are we seeing any type of decline with Alabama, or is it just Georgia is just getting to the top that much quicker now?
I think we're going to see Alabama without Bryce Young this season get into some sticky situations. I mean, last season, LSU probably would have won that game by a couple of touchdowns if Bryce didn't have a Houdini act late in that game. If I'm an Alabama fan right now, I'm pretty uncertain about the quarterback situation. After they signed Tyler Buckner, I talked to one of our Notre Dame insiders, and he thinks that Buckner is just a security blanket option for them.
Wow.
He won't be the starter, so it's either Milroe or Ty Simpson in Tuscaloosa.
Crazy that in Tennessee we're talking about Ty Simpson when he was a senior at Westview High School as
he's a stud, man.
The most important Tennessee recruit in the last 20 years. And he goes to Alabama, and he's one of 3 or 4 guys who could maybe get the job.
Yeah.
Then you sign Nico a few cycles later, and everybody forgets about him.
Right.
Man, it's every year the top 5-star quarterback that you're targeting is like the new hotness.
Yeah.
That's what I love about college football.
And with Auburn here today for SEC Media Days, that's a team, and we admitted it on this show. Look, we haven't really talked about Auburn in the past several years, and rightfully so, right? It's just been a mess, and they haven't been able to get the head coaching situation figured out. They hope to do that in Hugh Freeze, but how long realistically do you feel like they can be in the talk again with the big boys?
I think this season Auburn could challenge for a 7-5 type finish.
Okay.
And they could really strike fear in some of those upper echelon elite teams. Georgia goes to Jordan Hare early this season. That's a game that if I'm Kirby Smart, that might not be a blowout. I'm going to have to, P's and Q's for that game. But Hugh Freeze changed that roster almost top to bottom. Not Deion Sanders-esque, but he has a new offensive line. He signed 2 really good wide receivers. Got Peyton Thorne, Michigan State quarterback. So Auburn might be pretty dangerous, but not a division challenger this fall.
Brad Crawford with us here this morning. Brad, the question I have to ask you is the one that's been eating me and Will, I'm sure, for 6 months, okay?
I'm interested to see where this goes.
Or probably 8
Hold
months.
off on Spencer Rattler, but go ahead. Go ahead.
That's fair. That's very fair.
You see what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
This is where I am, okay?
Go ahead. We've got the Orange Bowl logo sitting next to us. Just breathe.
Couldn't be
think
my
about
team,
better.
not in the
Think
New York
about
Six Bowl.
better.
But Brett, I do have to ask a question. New hot thing. He came out, Spencer, of course, has been the hottest thing. He was on the Quarterback One on Netflix and had to switch universities, man.
Yep.
It didn't click until that Tennessee game, regretfully for us. But what is Spencer Rattler in this offense this year, man?
I think, to be honest, for 75% of last season, Spencer Rattler was a cataclysmic bust for South Carolina.
Facts.
His OC eventually got fired because of it. He had 9 touchdowns, 10 picks the first 8 weeks of the season. He was not the 5-star the Gamecocks thought they were getting. And then something clicked against Tennessee, beat Clemson, played pretty well against Notre Dame. So I think Spencer this season with Dow Loggins, first-year OC, he just needs to simplify things.
Yeah.
Spencer gets happy feet sometimes. He's very inconsistent, but we know the tools and the traits to be a first-round quarterback are there.
Right.
This is certainly his last year at South Carolina, although he's eligible for another year. But I think he'll be a day 2 NFL draft pick. But for the Gamecocks to be an 8-win type team this season, I mean, Rattler has to be elite. He can't be the guy for 2.5 months last year where he was spotty.
Yeah.
Crazy that if you told me when Dow Loggins was the Titans offensive coordinator that we would be talking about him as a South Carolina assistant with Spencer Rattler. Obviously, Spencer Rattler would have been a teenager in middle school when he was the Titans OC. But one of the interesting coordinator hires, and so many of those. I know you did that list on 247 Sports of just the most impactful coordinator hires that have been made this offseason. It feels like there are more of significant names that are in new places than I can remember just in one offseason.
I mean, Mississippi State, they're going today, Zach Arnett. They hired Kevin Barbay, who goes from a air raid offense we saw under Mike Leach to now pro style.
Right.
And is that going to make Will Rogers a better quarterback? We don't know. Some of these guys struggle going from air raid to pro style. Arkansas has a new OC, Dan Enos. KJ Jefferson's a guy that I rank top quarterback in the SEC. And now I'm being told that he might have some problems, making calls at the line or switches. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see these 6 or 7 new play callers in the SEC and kind of how that unfolds in the title race.
How do you unpack the Georgia offseason? Kirby Smart is going to get a lot of questions.
Too many Hellcats, man.
We had one here with the Tennessee Titans for a minute.
If a car has a 6.2 V8 and can go 190, I'm not going 80 on cruise control in Atlanta.
Get him a taxi.
I'm flying.
See how flat those
you can
roads
get
are,
around
Brad?
to
Those roads are flat in Georgia, man.
5 lanes, too. Meanwhile, a Rolls Royce is passing me going 140, so I'm flying.
When does this become a distraction and a legitimate on-the-field problem for Kirby Smart in Georgia?
I think the second half of that question is based on talent, and Georgia doesn't worry about that yet. But it's certainly an on-field distraction. I'm going to be interested to see here in a couple hours if any media members have the guts to sort of step out and say, I'm going to ask Kirby this question and make him answer it, because all of Georgia's handlers don't want to hear all that stuff this week. So I think Georgia certainly has a problem on its hands. The head-to-head right now with the AJC is like a strange dynamic. But as long as Kirby keeps winning, we know that that's the bottom line in Athens.
How long is Eli Drinkwitz's job going to be there?
How did he get extended?
It's a great question.
What I will say is he didn't want to answer any questions yesterday because he tried to talk in the intro as long as he could, so he didn't have to answer any questions.
And everybody was talking about his Jordan 1s. Those were Jordan 1 mids.
Oh,
they weren't
there
even
it is.
highs.
I'm glad you
but
said.
There's no sneakerheads here, so you can't correct people who just, wear
if you
whatever.
wear Jordan 1 mids, just get some dunk mids. That's more acceptable.
He can't get a PE at Mizzou being a Nike school.
Oh, my God.
He should get some sort of exclusive.
That ought to let you know right there where they are.
Right.
That ought to let you know.
But by the way, South Carolina hasn't beaten Missouri in 4 seasons.
What the heck is that all
And they have comparable talent. So before the Gamecocks kind of make that jump, they got to start beating the Kentuckys and the Missouris annually.
Speaking of that, though, that's the question I have to ask you, too, is Kayla asked about Drinkwitz. I mean, how long is Stoops going to be able to I ain't even going to say stay there because he's done enough to stay there, but how long can he stomach being there because of the treatment that he get? He see Kentucky basketball at Drake's house chilling.
Yeah.
He get called to basketball school. They bring in probably they probably don't bring in the line. Sure,
Jimmy Sexton is his agent, too.
Oh,
So every coaching cycle he's throwing Mark Stoops' resume out there, which is pretty good considering where he's been.
Yeah.
Very good quarterback, Devin Leary. He's from my neck of the woods in Raleigh, North Carolina. Had 35 touchdowns, 5 picks 2 years ago. At NC State, a team that doesn't have the same talent level at the skill positions that Kentucky does. So Mark Stoops, he's another kind of 7-5, 8-4 annual guy with an occasional, 10-win season.
Brad Crawford with us here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. This has been great, kind of hitting on every team.
Yeah.
And the one we haven't gotten to is the one with an offensive coordinator job that may or may not belong to their offensive coordinator. What in the world's going on with Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher?
Oh, man, Jimbo had a strange day here yesterday.
Was weird.
Really weird.
He didn't answer a lot of questions. His 3 players all came in with sunglasses inside, as if they're coming off a 12-win season and can do that. One of the A&M guys told me yesterday, we're like 3 possessions away from being 10-2 last year.
Stop.
You also won 3 games by 1 possession.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about A&M.
The top recruiting class?
Yeah. That cost a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Because from the Tennessee perspective, that is kind of that in Florida. And anytime Tennessee goes to the Swamp, I'm on the record. I will never pick Tennessee to win in the Swamp until they do. So that's always going to be a swing game. That A&M game in Knoxville is a swing game for both teams where
that's a tough game for both teams.
It feels like Jimbo Fisher is one step away from the final step every coach gets before they get fired, which is relinquishing or taking back play calling duties.
Well, if I had a $76 million parachute, I wouldn't worry about job security whatsoever. Now he might not get another elite job after A&M if he does get fired, but this is a huge season for Jimbo Fisher. As Kayla mentioned, that recruiting class 2 years ago, best ever with 9 5-stars.
Crazy.
You have to start showing some results from that group.
So all of these talking heads, but nothing about Ole Miss. Has Lane toned it down? Should we
Gosh,
be?
I forgot about
I mean,
Lane.
seriously, where are we at on Lane?
Oh
like,
my
is he
gosh.
the next Texas A&M head coach? Like, is he the next Kentucky head coach? I mean,
The next Alabama head coach.
Yeah.
coming to the SIP ain't resonating.
Right. And he signed, 2 elite quarterbacks
Yep.
in the portal this time. Spencer Sanders, I was told, might be another transfer casualty here during
no.
fall camp if he's not QB1.
Oh, no.
There was a JUCO quarterback who Ole Miss was recruiting this summer just in case to get a third scholarship player in there. So the quarterback situation is kind of a mess right now. Obviously, Jackson Dart's QB1, but Lane Kiffin right now has a ceiling in Oxford. A 9-3 type team is the best he can do based on his schedule.
But based on his history, too, he likes to go somewhere every 3 or 4 years. So
he does.
He
does.
He gets bored.
Yeah.
Either on a tarmac or in the middle of the night. And I'll never forget that because the security cameras on Tennessee's campus went down that night, and there's this big sculpture that everyone who's ever been on Tennessee's campus hates. And students tried to tear it down when the security
I
cameras
won't
were
forgive
down.
Lane Kiffin for bringing out the black uniforms against South Carolina
boy.
at Neyland.
The practice jerseys.
I don't think the Gamecocks have won at Neyland since 09, 10, somewhere around there. So, that's
How crazy that game going to be this year?
That's going to be 63 points the other way, possibly.
I think what's going to happen is
Joe Milton fantasy team that weekend. Yeah.
Josh Heupel. Honestly, I would imagine Josh Heupel might bring the black jerseys back out for that one.
Man, don't say
the
that.
tradition.
I don't-
Is it the Halloween game,
The
too?
best thing
Please
of that,
bring the orange helmets out.
that way easy.
It'd be cool.
So the two things that were funny about that, the orange helmets, from what I've heard, were supposed to be worn against Alabama. And that orange out game that Tennessee did this past year, and then the 3 words everyone has said since COVID, supply chain issues caused that not happen. And then the black jerseys against Carolina in 09 when Kiffin wore them, those weren't even Adidas jerseys.
No.
Those were like Riddell
That's what it
practice
looked like, too,
jerseys
yeah.
that someone got from like a Knoxville sporting goods store, and they
That's
had
awful.
sewn on Adidas logo.
I just remember
is awful.
Neyland being insane that night and Gamecocks fumbling their first 2 possessions or something, and then it was a rout.
It was the route.
12-year-old Will was very happy in that stadium when Montario Hardesty was hitting the B button. That was
Who's now at South Carolina?
That's right.
He is. Monterio's a good dude.
No, he's
great
not.
guy.
Yeah, he is. I like Monterio.
That's my dude.
But Monterio's
Brad.
he's only got 4 scholarship backs right now going into this season, so he's got a tough job this year.
Jason got married, too.
Oh, awesome.
We could do this all morning. Brad
Good job,
Crawford with
Brad.
us here
Oh,
at
my
247
God.
Sports. Great to do this in person, man. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
man,
it.
awesome. Thank y'all for having me on all
No
these
doubt.
years, too.
Absolutely. We'll continue the conversation coming up. It's Ramon, Kayla, Will, 104.5 The Zone. Tuesday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. A fast 3 hours almost wrapped up.
Yeah.
With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but training camp starts today. Wow.
Yeah.
For a number of NFL teams. 9 teams will have rookies report today. Not the case for the Tennessee Titans. All of the festivities beginning next week here. But you've got Bills, Chargers, Chiefs, Dolphins, Falcons, Niners, Giants, Ravens, and Saints. The first group of players to report, meaning that Jalen Hyatt becomes the first member of the 2022 Vols to report to camp.
Insanely early on top of that. Like, that blows my mind. That's one thing I never really wanted to report that early to camp. But, hey, guess what, NFL fans, 104.5 The Zone listeners, football is back.
Football's back.
Oh, my goodness.
Football is back.
We get real reports now, and we hadn't even hit the 20s yet as far as July hit, and we're already talking about football being back.
Did you guys have just a little longer, I feel like?
In camp?
Even 10 years ago? Like, yeah, I just feel like I'm looking at it as, was it 4 weeks?
4 weeks of camp?
No, 4 weeks of us having, like, no football here.
Oh, no, It was
here.
You got to think we went through all of June, too. Players are mostly off after Father's Day.
The last week of OTAs is the first weekend in June.
It's a month.
Okay.
It's 6 weeks.
So
2
it is,
months.
okay. It just seems like it flew by.
Yeah. No, it's like 6 weeks. I remember it being 6 weeks for the most part.
July 22nd, the date for Titans rookies.
Okay.
So really things starting next week.
Yeah.
Report date technically would be this weekend. But if you consider the weekend next week.
Our first access will be the
25th. Wow.
I know. Get ready.
I'm excited, though. This is a fun time for sure.
So this time next week, you'll be watching stretching, routes on air, tackling sleds.
Let's go.
Things that you're very interested in by next week, and then by the beginning of August, you're like, yeah, I'm tired of stretching. Give me actual football.
We have no scandal or anything like that, do we? Nothing good. We're copacetic going into the
time.
Oh,
yeah, it's always easy breezy.
Well, you've got Hassan Haskins off the field issues. You've got Nicholas Petit-Frere suspension, and you've got
DeAndre.
Whoever in the world else gets suspended between now and then by the NFL in terms of gambling. I made my guarantee last week. I think this Friday is when the hammer will drop. This Friday will be the Friday NFL news dump on other NFL gambling suspensions.
Well, let's just hope it doesn't have to hit the Titans locker room.
I know, right? I hope it's not super extensive. Just for the sake of the players, though, man. Like, that's a bad look because every player I've talked to that's active, not just in Pittsburgh, but other teams too, have said the NFL didn't do the greatest job of explaining what to and what not to.
So you've heard that?
I have heard that from numerous times. And I also kind of heard, too, guys are just dumb.
I don't think Nicholas Petit-Frere is dumb, though.
No, I'm just giving both ends of the spectrum on how it's kind of – I've heard it be reported back to me.
Right.
Well,
those guys that are betting on their own teams or in the NFL.
Idiots.
They're dumb.
You know better than that. You absolutely know better than that. But some guys just choose to just always fight City Hall, and this one gets you a 6-game suspension. So right around the corner, I'm looking forward to seeing what this season's going to be about. What is the storyline of NFL? Can Aaron Rodgers do his thing? You know, like that's where we are. And is Kansas City good enough where they at? That's the other question because they were in the DeAndre Hopkins conversation too.
615-737-1045 our number this morning if you want to jump in. Coming up next, the fourth and final hour of the show. The NFL headlines where running backs are under fire and 2 of them are threatening to hold out and potentially do something that one of Ramon's old teammates did up in Pittsburgh as we get ready for Hour 4, where we will also be joined by the one and only Ron Slay, who I'm told will be making the trip here in person.
Yeah. That's surprising.
Slay, a consummate professional, will always be with us in person unless bodies of water need to be moved and he does not have the ability to walk upon them. Today, he does have the ability to walk upon a bridge that I guess doesn't exist.
I mean, good for him getting
Slay
through this
it.
traffic this early and then doing it again later.
Absolutely. Hour 4 on deck. Fourth quarter of the show next on 104.5 The Zone.
It ain't even 9 o'clock yet. What's going on from the 104.5 The Zone Studios? I'm Robert Walsh. It's been a tumultuous road for running backs this offseason, as none of them that were tagged were able to come to terms with the new team on a long-term agreement. In the end, the franchise tag players that received long-term deals: Lamar Jackson, 5 years, $260 million; Daron Payne, defensive tackle for the Commanders, 4 years, $90 million; and Evan Ingram, 3 years, $41 million with the Jaguars. Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and Saquon Barkley were all left out in the cold by their teams, but running backs all over the league have been affected. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones have been asked to take a pay cut. Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette have been cut. And Austin Eckler asked for a trade and a new deal, and he got neither. And in SEC news, Vanderbilt has signed head coach Clark Lee to an extension through 2029. Under Lee, Vanderbilt went 5-7 in 2022 after going 2-10 in his first year as a head coach. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Oh, Tuesday morning reps up for one more hour on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Back at our Midtown studios, Robert Walsh keeps us on the air and in between the navigational beacons, although we can't see the beacons. He can, back there at our 104.5 The Zone studios. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Kirby Allen, Kirby. I'm Will Bowling. The fourth hour here already before the Buck Rising show begrudgingly takes over after us.
Yeah.
Buck did not hide his disdain for having to be here. And I should say,
he didn't?
getting to be here. Because there are many radio hosts around the country who would love to sit in the ballroom, have guests walk up to them and talk into microphones with them, and have an event out of nothing that is made for television on SEC Network these days, placed in front of them to talk about. There was a picture that 104.5 The Zone tweeted out of Buck and Lucas together. Buck, by the way, we need to teach Buck how to smile into a camera. Like, Robert, can you help us with this? Like, Buck has this weird, like, half-crooked smile that he'll do when he takes pictures. Lucas looked like a perfectly normal human being. You know, just very well composed, professional, enjoying being here. SEC Media Days. We're at the hub of the SEC. And Buck retweeted it and said, our enthusiasm between the two of us certainly on our faces.
Yeah.
And where Buck looks very not happy to be here, Lucas looked ecstatic to be here.
It was so bad that when you said when Buck got here, you could tell he was already in a bad mood. I actually thought something happened. Like, I thought, like, his tire went flat. I thought he got rear-ended. Yeah. And I said, Buck, are you okay? And he's like, oh, yeah, I just hate being here. And I was like, man, Buck.
And I don't feel bad outing him on this because he's outing himself on this by tweeting and talking about it so much. Yeah. And by Buck's own admission, his show is better when he's annoyed. So I guess his show is probably better usually than it was yesterday.
Why do you hate being here? Like, there's so many different connections that could be made here. I'm just like, I guess it's people. He's cold. Oh, my gosh.
It is like
cold.
60 degrees in this ballroom.
Well,
he's scared to death to be around other people. He has to be in like a capsule.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's where he's comfortable. He is a house cat.
That's what I was just going to say.
He hangs out at whatchamacallit. Why is he afraid to be around people?
Always.
What's that bar down the road?
He needs a spirit or two to, I guess, keep him comfortable
around that's probably
people.
it.
That's fascinating.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
Hey, there he is.
Where this voice in my head, where are you coming from?
Do you four get off?
Yeah. Oh, buddy, look. You opened the door for us to have this conversation when you tweeted out what you did yesterday about not being excited to be here. We are only giving your Twitter more publicity. We are bringing more people to @BuckRising on social media. You're welcome for bringing people to your social media platforms.
Thank you as
fantastic.
always. Yeah, I'm in front of all of the buttons. I don't know how to do it. Do it, Bert. Quickly.
Okay.
Quickly. Do it now.
I feel
do
like
it
we're
now,
having a
Bert.
conversation with him.
We are.
Quickly.
Only right.
That's fantastic.
There it is.
Finally.
Now he
My
was good
God.
at talking.
It's like it's on delay back here. No, listen, I just don't like doing the show in places that aren't a radio studio. Like, there's a million things going on. There's all kinds of people like you. Look, who are you giving the peace sign? Who are you blowing kisses at right now, Kayla?
There's so many
Who are you blowing
cameras
kisses
around
at right
the
now?
buck.
I don't know what's
Look,
going on out there. It drives me crazy. And I've got the attention span of a small rodent. There's all kind of things going on, and I got a 3-hour radio show to do. You guys are entitled to enjoy this week. I don't like being around people like this, but that's okay. We're going to do a great show, and Ben Jones is going to come keep me company and try and keep me from
Okay, I have some.
getting aggressive.
That's not what this is. That's not what this is. This is you being afraid of your own ignorance of what's happening at SEC Media Days and not having someone to belittle and yell at some poor production assistant for bringing you the wrong brand of tonic water. Like, you're doing this you're trying to do this like celebrity diva thing, but like you're a sports talk radio host. It's SEC Media Days. This is what happens. Did you choose the wrong profession, may I ask?
Oh, no, I normally take this week off. There's a reason.
How about you just take over this hour? Here, I got people to talk to, so why don't you all just take over our hour?
I got a question.
I'll go away
for
now.
Buck,
I'm sorry.
though. Buck, no. Stay real quick. The question I have for you is this, man. I know we had to vacate a win this week, but you guys also didn't get a dub. How do you feel about that?
Oh, Indiana? Well, listen.
You get to put more hair back on your head now for the bet that you made back in 2019.
Well, buddy, I'm Egyptian. That's not a problem. That's one of the things that I do well. But I would say at this point that David Reed should retroactively have to shave his beard. I would like justice that way. I think wherever you are, Reed, I will find you and I will shave that beard so you look like a big old baby.
I'm looking out for you, Buck. Like, I know we lose a win, but like you gotta have something. Like, somebody owes you something, Buck.
I agree.
You got Taven Jackson, former Tennessee quarterback. Is that enough?
If you say so.
You took Tennessee's backup quarterback.
How about bottle service, Buck? Are you having that this week? Any bottle service?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You all are welcome to join.
I might.
Oh, okay.
I might. Although I'm not bringing my card, though. I'm not bringing my credit card. I'm mooching.
No, after the last time after Slade decided that he wanted to order 12 lukewarm vodka shots and then looks at me and said, split it, right?
How is he doing? This is a great production.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care.
Good job well done.
You're Thursday, aren't you, Buck?
I am Thursday.
So are you going to bring your crown to SEC Media Days?
Yeah, it's not Tennessee Day. It's my day.
That's real. That's real, Buck. Hey, man.
Love you guys. I'm sorry. I'll get out of here. Thanks for
bring
letting
that
me.
for me next Friday then. Yeah. I'll just keep it by the microphone that I use. We sit in the same chair, and two birds will meet our one stone.
Careful, it'll start to seep into your brain once you put that crown on. It's a tough thing to get out from under.
We already had guests coming up to our table today saying, I got DMs complaining about Will before I came on this show today, so I might as well lean into it at this point.
Oh, my God, you're turning into me. Stop it.
615-737-1045.
Back to the shadows.
Buck, thank you. We tease Buck because we love him, of course.
That's our guy,
Buck.
man. I like the fact that Buck can take the heat that comes to
Yeah.
us because
Absolutely.
the entire
He stays
station.
in the kitchen.
I had a dude, and I wanted to tell him, I had a dude text me. It was like, Buck doesn't like being there because he has a very punchable face.
Right.
And he's a sponsor of the station. I had to tell y'all there.
Okay, well, there
it
you
was
go.
in a jester way.
You can sell it. Why
Yeah,
not?
you can. It's our guy at Jason from Maryland Farms. It's like, he doesn't like being there because he got a punchable face.
In all seriousness, though, Buck was on the same noble pursuit we were yesterday as the only shows that were doing an NFL show at SEC Media Days.
Yeah.
Because when DeAndre Hopkins takes over the news cycle and NFL is king, yes, Nashville is the second biggest hub for SEC fans in the conference behind Atlanta. It's Nashville, Atlanta, and Birmingham where you have fan bases of legitimately every single SEC team within your city. Birmingham less so, but you have so much split between Auburn and Alabama that's still – I mean, that is the hub. You can make the argument Birmingham is the number 2 hub of the SEC behind Atlanta because this is more of an NFL town than it certainly used to be.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting. You kind of walk around all these tables and you hear, let's dissect the linebacker battle at Texas A&M, and then we're over here talking about running backs and salary caps and DeAndre Hopkins.
I know. I wondered about that too because we started off the 6 o'clock yesterday early talking about NFL,
and we had to.
And I couldn't be my city that we were in, and we only cover no, I'm joking, but I just thought it's fascinating that they have to start off with college like that, and we can actually start off with NFL news. And I was just like, that's got to be a different pathway to success when you're only speaking about
and
college.
And think of some of these stations, though, that are here. I mean, it is all college football. I mean, you have so many Alabama stations who don't have an NFL team. You have Georgia, who pretty much runs the Atlanta market because the Falcons sure don't, at least
Georgia
right
and the
now.
Braves, genuinely.
Right, and then you got all these other small schools in Mississippi State and in those cities. So, yeah.
A little bit of Tennessee news with 48 hours until the Vols make the rounds here at SEC Media Days. Game time has been set for Tennessee's home opener in Neyland Stadium. A 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern time kickoff on September the 9th against Austin Peay.
Let's go P.
Easy.
Just
for week 2
kidding.
for
I just
Tennessee.
wanted to say that.
Tennessee, so they begin the 2023 season here in Nissan Stadium at 11 a.m. local time against UVA. Week 2 against Austin Peay, and then a night game in the Swamp.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
We're going to do our game-by-game predictions once we get into September for Tennessee. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, and it's, a little bit of a hot take. I'm not picking Tennessee to win in the Swamp.
You're not?
I knew you were going to say that.
I refuse to do it until they do it.
Yep.
And it's because the last time I was there was the second of the long, improbable 60-yard passes at the buzzer for Florida to beat Tennessee, because the 2 trips to the Swamp that Tennessee made when I was a student, one of them was Antonio Callaway, 3rd and 16?
Oh, my God.
And then the second one was Felipe Franks
That's the one I
on
was at.
60 yards at the end of the game. I was there sitting next to the Florida student section. This isn't even battered Vol syndrome, guys. This is kind of the way we feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Like, we will not take Jacksonville seriously here in this market until they do it again, until they prove 2 seasons in a row that they can handle the Tennessee Titans, that they can take care of business and be that team in the division. That is how I feel about Tennessee with Florida. They've got to then prove it again. All right, 2 times in a row, handle your business against Florida, because they haven't done that legitimately in 2 decades.
And it's also going down there and doing it. That's a whole nother task when you go to the Swamp. I mean, my first sighting of the Swamp and all of that was that Felipe Franks game when they played the Vols, and it was like another world.
And the crowd wasn't even great that day.
It wasn't great.
It was a noon game. It was an early kickoff. Like, John Kelly is the guy out here doing the gator chomp at the Florida student section and getting 15-yard penalties for it. It's okay. I'm not bitter.
Hey, screw it. I'm picking us. I am all the way. I'm picking us, and there's no if and or buts about it.
No battered Vol syndrome.
I will own it when I have battered Vol syndrome.
That's real.
This is more a longer play for me, just in terms of sports in general.
Yeah.
When you win 2 games against a team over 20 years, and you do it once, you got to prove it to me again before I believe in you most confidently to one-up it and do it again.
But I feel better about us as a team to be able to do that, as opposed to just hoping and wishing that it's going to be the same.
Absolutely.
So many guys, the coaching staff. We can go on and on about how I feel about UT this year and the games I feel like we should win. And I went on to 3HL. I say, 8-9 games is where the floor should be for us in a sense.
Yeah,
Florida was counted in there.
Yeah.
Really, you could make the argument. The expectation is a 9-win season for Tennessee.
9+. If we can get double digits, again, you really move into a different. We talk about that one conversation we had, tier 1, tier 2s. Like, you move up a half a notch to get
you
close.
can't
to
go backwards.
Yeah.
You have to stay within the New Year's 6. I mean, who was it that said it with us yesterday? It was Adam Sparks.
Adam Sparks
said with us yesterday. The Citrus Bowl is probably the expectation for Tennessee, right on the edge, right on the edge of New Year's 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
Coming up, we talk with Ron Slay every Tuesday at 9:20 here on RKW. We'll see if he has any tips and best practices for us on our first show experience here at SEC Media Days.
Yeah.
Ron Slay, an SEC Media Days veteran and expert. And Ron Slay, honestly, it would be easier for us to tell you what Slay is not an expert on. A well-traveled Renaissance man who joins us here at SEC Media Days. Coming up next, hour number 4 continues on RKW. Fourth and final hour on a Tuesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Kirby Allen Kirby. And at 9:20 on Tuesdays, Ron Slay joins us.
Yeah.
Here on
What's
Ramon,
up?
Kayla, and
What's
Will.
happening?
Ron Slay of 3HL. I should also introduce you as SEC Network's Ron Slay,
Yes.
amongst all these
Yeah.
SEC personalities.
Some people would say that. Some people would say that. Will I just like to say it's seasonal though. It's seasonal. Of course.
I was telling you yesterday, y'all roster lineup, and we spoke about it
It's a good one.
yesterday too. There isn't a better, I don't think, conference network to work for than what the SEC got going on.
I think when you look at it, man, from top to bottom, when you talk about guys with accolades and things like that, with experience that had a good rapport at the schools that they were at, and throughout the SEC too.
Yeah.
Like it's enough
Yep.
love and hatred there to be like, I'm gonna watch them. I don't really like them. I'm gonna watch them anyway. So yeah, I think they did a good job with that, man. No doubt about it.
So you were a part of another show that did a DeAndre Hopkins show yesterday here at SEC
That's right.
Media Days.
That's right. Thank you.
Y'all did everything yesterday at SEC Media. You had Clark Lee on, you got Shannon Terry, Grant Firking with On 3, who's 2 tables over. They are crushing it, by the way, in the digital media space in college football. But I feel like the conversations that have come from this table have been the most unique of any of the tables here at SEC Media Days.
I think it's always like that, man. It's
That's
just something.
true.
It's just something else we bring to it, you know, man. As a station, I think we don't go into this doing interviews. We do it more so conversations and get to know the people. So I think that makes them more relaxed. We usually get guys that are more relaxed. Like Clark Lee was just walking through. He was like, "Man, I came over to do a couple of days, knock them out." He was like, "I might as well start with y'all." So,
Right?
shoot, let's go then. So. Yeah, man, shot the breeze with him, too. I think that's the other part, man. When you get to come to these events, that's why I don't understand why Buck don't like it. But when you get to come to these events, man, you get an opportunity to kind of develop some rapport with the people, you know, especially coaches, SIDs, players. They get to see your face, remember who you are. Right. So they're a little bit more open. Like Clark was talking about him losing weight and everything. So that was pretty dope to see. And me talking about, I showed him a picture from Radio Row. Man, dude, I'm going to keep that picture with me.
Why is that?
Because it's the tag, but they had our picture on there. Dog, my cheeks. Like you can barely see my eyes.
Really?
Well, and I tell Babs and them, I said, why would y'all let me walk around like this, man? The marshmallow man out here, man. Y'all got me walking around like this looking all wild, man. So, yeah, man, I'm keeping my motivation in my backpack at all times. That's awesome.
Did you guys meet Clark Lee's dad? Because he's here. And he's just wandering around, and he said, I've never been able to do something like this. I've always asked Clark if I can come along to things.
Really?
But now that it's here, he's just traveling from table to table, soaking it all in. I was like, how cool is that?
Yeah,
right?
That's dope. I would have loved to talk to him.
I know.
Especially he got the Nashville. DJ, what up, baby? Man, it would have been good. It would have been good to sit there and talk to him and get a conversation and get his perspective, because the father's conversation is always different than the son. You know
completely.
Like, I would have loved to talk to Vitello's dad.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, let's get into the conversation.
Yep.
So, yeah, man.
It's impressive, too, that Clark Lee is so eager to join you guys, because not only do you guys have the rivalry of Tennessee and Vanderbilt, you guys have the NBA and Pro Cone background.
Most definitely.
And that's serious.
No, because I'm going to his neck every single time. I know you are. Because we're in the same era and everything. And I'm going to remind him, like, man, we were supposed to have an undefeated season. NBA cheated us, man. We went over to NBA got all this money, man, and the score clock went out.
Yeah. Oh.
Come on, dog.
I set you
Come
up.
on, dog. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Come on, y'all.
Could be my team.
That's all I'm saying now, man. Yeah. But it's all love. And I think the most interesting part about that, Will, like we were playing before they did the public-private split. So it was some real tension. You know what I'm saying? People really wanted to beat each other, and then it kind of simmered down once they did the split. But, yeah, it's still there, though.
It's okay to bring that up, though.
Yeah.
So every time.
Ain't no doubt. They almost had me. I was over there for a summer until they gave me them 12 books to read for the summer.
They gave you a reading assignment.
Yeah. What? This is what we got to do?
Crazy.
Before going into 9th grade? I'm straight.
NBA, one of the schools who is a big reason why there is a public-private split in the state of Tennessee.
Are they really?
NBA and BA were the two that.
Yep.
So that's a longer discussion. But
we don't
have the time to get into
ready
that.
to go in.
Yeah, for sure. Slay, man, I feel like we could hit a number of topics from DeAndre Hopkins and Tennessee making the rounds here Thursday, but I wanted to start with just getting to catch up with Hendon Hooker yesterday and the confidence that he showed with us and showed with all the conversations he had around SEC Media Days. It made the rounds the way Roger McCreary did as the Bush's Baked Beans representative, who joined you guys in Atlanta last year at SEC Media Days. I thought the statement he made right at the end of our conversation with him, saying, Anthony Richardson's pretty athletic, but I'm pretty athletic too.
Yep.
You can tell he is healthier, and you can tell he is more confident to stand on what he did last season, now moving forward into a rookie training camp, which for him starts the next week.
Yeah, and I also took from him, man, you can tell he's a pro now. You know what I mean? It's more about individually selling yourself. When you're in college, you got a little protection of the team. This is the way we're going to go out here and perform, and ain't no bulletin board material, this, that, and the other. You're protecting something different. When you're a pro, it's you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're on the team and how quick you guys come together and move in the same direction, but you're representing yourself.
Yep.
So if that's the way you feel, it's okay to say that, man. And I honestly, that's what we always want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you really feel? Don't give us the politically correct answer. Yeah, like, we don't want that, man. Give us what we're looking for, and that's it. And that's good to see, man, because you wonder, what is that competitive fire like away from the field? You see it on the field. You know what I'm saying? They go up, you know what I mean, get a fumble against Alabama, and he goes out, calm and cool, come back in, make a drive. But what is he like away from the field? You know what I mean? How's his confidence going there? You can see it. It's bubbling.
Also with Hendon, too, it's the fascination to me of how he puts Joe Milton in front of him.
Yeah.
Hearing him just talk about Joe and how they have conversations and how fresh Joe going to be coming here, like their connection I don't think we've ever seen between one quarterback to another. We hadn't heard it publicly like this.
No, we haven't. No, they're lusting over each other.
They are.
Yes, I love it.
It's crazy.
It's so cool. He was like, Joe texted me what I was going to wear today. I'm like, bro, I'm chilling.
Exactly.
I'm with that, though. But that's like Savage said, man, that's what you want to see more of. You always get to see it with wide receivers, them coming back training with each other. You rarely get to see it with quarterbacks like that. You know, you see it with D linemen coming back, going against each other with O linemen and stuff like that in the summers. But that's really good to see, putting them on that platform and letting them know, man, you got confidence. I'm pushing the confidence out there. That like it's a lot of talk about LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels.
Yep. By the way, he's a small dude. I saw him. And I was like, he's kind of small.
I know what you're going to say, and I already agree with you.
I just can't. What has he done?
I don't know.
We're putting him too much on a pedestal.
Like, and I understand. Okay, let's go. He's gonna make another step in the SEC. Be all SEC performer. Man, people talk about Heisman.
Yes, they are.
Like what is he, third, fourth favorite?
Like that's
at some point, I saw him like right there at second.
Yeah, that's wild to me. And ain't no knock to him. I didn't get to see it last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know he turned the corner, turned around a little bit, but at the same time, Heisman.
Our view was a little skewed, though.
Right.
Heisman.
We're a little skewed. Okay. Later in the season, he did have a good finish, but we're skewed because we went in there and we walked in their trap, took over their trap.
No,
I think that's
without question. Without question.
Yeah.
I would say, of course, Drake May, Caleb Williams,
Michael Penix Jr. Look, that's going to be one of the best offenses in the country.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how is he creeping up in this conversation? Like, these guys performed all year long.
Yeah.
Like, he had a good stretch after the Tennessee game where the coach had to tell him, hey, man, stop thinking, just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, he really was telling them, man, listen, we're going to win or lose with your arm, man. Just throw the ball. Give them an opportunity. You got Butte running out there running routes. You're not even giving them an opportunity to catch the ball. This is an NFL-type wide receiver.
Yeah.
Throw him the ball, man. So for them not to say that and then all of a sudden we jump from that to Heismanite, that's tough, man. That's tough.
Brian Kelly effect.
I think right now I'm going to make a bold statement on Tuesday, July the 18th, Slay.
Okay, jump out there, Will.
Carson Beck is a bigger Heisman candidate to me than Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
We talked about this last week. I think Carson Beck at Georgia has legitimate hype around him right now, and Georgia's making the rounds today at SEC Media Days.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett was Heisman candidate last year by just keeping that offense, as we like to say, between the navigational beacons.
Yeah.
And he's got Brock Bowers to throw to, who I think is the best NFL prospect here at SEC Media Days all week.
Yep.
A guy that is, if he just shows up and eats the orange slices and straps his helmet on the right way, he's probably a top 10 pick. I genuinely believe that Carson Beck, and now that battle that he's reportedly pretty much won over Brock Vandegrift, is the dark horse Heisman candidate we're not talking about.
That's interesting, man. I done heard good things about him. I can't wait to hear how Georgia talks about him. I haven't heard Georgia players, and I'll always like to hear how peers talk about that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Other guys, but my guy, man, I'm with you on that. I just love KJ Jefferson, man. There's something about him. Like I was hearing that he was taking to the offense. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like and really taking it in stride. Because my question I posed was, Arkansas was trying to get back. What are they going to try to get back to? Running the ball and just pushing people around up front. And they was like, no, they're gonna air it out, and KJ Jefferson's taking to him.
Yeah, he just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's
so he can find that kind of flow.
You talking about a build?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It feels like the entire SEC West.
There's Clark's
this season specifically is underneath the kind of the opportunity to bounce back, and you've got Ole Miss who's looking to get back to that New Year's Six level, and you've got Mississippi State under a new head coach that you don't really know what they're going to look like under a pro-style offense, but. You're going to have to wrangle your Auburn people a little bit today because with a first-year head coach, I remember when Josh Heupel made the rounds for the first time, and we're sitting there like, oh, okay, all right, I like what he's saying. I shouldn't have hype, but the closer you get, you start to talk yourself into, well, maybe 8 wins is possible. And, the question I have for you, Slay, is Joe Hunt going to identify more today as an Auburn fan or Thursday as a Tennessee fan?
Well, the thing about Hunt, man, he really doesn't have an option. Not when it comes to me. Like, he can fool everybody else, but as soon as he goes a little too far, I always pull him back and say, you're not even a Tennessee fan.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's cool.
I feel like we've established that. You can't have 2 SEC schools.
No.
I can almost accept you being a Duke fan and also an Alabama fan. Like I don't get it, but I can understand. God. We can't pick one and the other in the same division.
Can't cross over in the SEC.
What's his Auburn ties again?
Lord knows.
Okay, so that is really the case.
Lord
okay.
Someone in his long family tree can tell us.
There we go. Okay.
But I do know he has a Auburn license plate that says Hunt.
That's right.
Okay.
So I don't understand how you can be a Tennessee. How do you, like, that's not good representation.
Dog,
you know you jump out of a car with an Auburn tag, but you got Tennessee gear on.
It's confusing.
What are you doing?
Travis is a 4th-generational Auburn grad. He'd look at that tag and be like, wait a second, what?
Hey, man.
Why do you have that T on?
I don't know.
That's exactly what it is.
Hunt, we love to give you we'd love to give you love.
He know it. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. He know it. As soon as this conversation come up, I'm going to be the first one to jump in and dead in that. Ain't no way.
One thing I have to ask you, and I heard you guys, the first show I actually heard it from, Derek's tweet yesterday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do they need a tight end, you Savage? Do they need a holdout? Do they need something just crazy to happen to get their respect?
Yeah, man, they do. Because without anything drastic happening, I don't know how you get over that hump because you got people behind you that are dying to be in that situation and just have that opportunity. And you see these offenses, they're okay with it. We're plugging a guy in. So, all right, Saquon.
And real quick, is Derek tweet about just get rid of the running back position because they're not respected. Is what we're talking about. If you missed Derrick Henry's tweet yesterday,
exactly.
Is he was saying just get rid of the position, pretty much in a jesting type of way, but just like y'all can't keep devaluing us.
Right.
That's what we're talking about.
And I don't even think when looking back at it and riding in this morning, listening to you guys' show, I was looking at it from the perspective of I don't even think King was talking about himself. I think he was just, I got the biggest platform. All right, let me go on and use it because I ain't going to hang my brothers out to dry. Right. I'm going to say something as well, you know what I'm saying? But he's going to get the bigger light, even though his contract need to be situated too. But he has gotten paid before. So, but moving forward, if nothing drastic happens, like why would you, knowing this is a business, tell the people that you want a franchise running back when you know you can go get 2 and plug and go?
Yep. You're right.
Until it doesn't work, until the game's going away from that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody has a Derrick Henry, to your point.
That's the other thing.
That's the issue,
it's
too.
An outlier.
And truthfully, you said Derrick got paid, but at the way, like we look at the stock market.
Right.
If you look at the history of the stock market has grown even in recessions, even in 2008, even after 9/11, even after the pandemic. The stock market has proven to grow. The running back position in the NFL
has not.
No.
Yeah, how does Zeke get an average of 15 a year and Derrick gets 12-ish?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yep.
How does it dip?
That's tough.
And that's hard. So I get where he's coming from.
And it's a different era, man. Who's slanging the ball? Like, who's dropping back and handing the ball off outside of the Titans now?
Who's dropping back and
I think Cleveland won.
But what did Cleveland do?
I think they did that because they didn't have a quarterback that could sit back and throw it.
And
now they got one.
And Vegas is the only other team.
Yep.
And what did they do before? I mean, Chubb, they still even overpaid for a quarterback because the running game ain't. And you got one of the best running backs in the world.
I'll tell you one team and one guy who could reset this market next is Bijan Robinson with the Atlanta Falcons. I think that's the guy now who he's a part of this wave now, Slay, where you talk about, okay, let's lean even more into this. Let's get a guy who we can get on a fifth-year option even and keep this guy on a rookie deal even longer because to me that's the fix. Running backs can renegotiate a year earlier or 2 years earlier than everyone else. That's the only way this changes for the running back position because you can keep a guy for 5 years. By the time that rookie deal is done for a first-round pick, a guy's prime is 90% over.
And how do you keep everybody on the same page? I heard Savage talking about going through it with Le'Veon. Like, it's automatically, all right, y'all don't respect this position. Well, look what else I can do. Look how many targets I got. Look how many catches I had. So that you almost need your running back not to be that guy. Don't go out there and catch them passes. Run the rock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, because in a sense, even though you can do so much more, you're devaluing it too.
Yep.
Yeah, you are. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to add to it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's such a bad idea. He brought up tight end you and what George Kittle has done along with Travis Kelce. And look, that's not a bad idea to kind of every offseason for a few days get your guys to come in, like get some attention going, right? Get each other feeding ideas with each other. How can we make this position even more relevant at this point, right? I think that's a great idea.
I agree. Totally.
And just real quick, though, it sucks, though, for them because in order for them to be good, they got to get touches. And in them touches, they got to get beat up. That's the part of it, too, that gets you is the investment gets beat up.
So if it doesn't value the quarterback, then the position's automatically devalued. The reason the offensive line is going up in pay is because you got to protect the quarterback. The reason the skill possession guys get paid, you got to pay the quarterback. You got to have somebody defend the quarterback. You got to have guys get after the quarterback. The only spot where you don't need protection to help the quarterback is the running back spot. That's amazing.
I've never heard this.
Like I don't know what do you do? What do you do to bring that back up? Why does the quarterback need the running back?
I guess if you're a Debo Samuel.
Yeah, but Debo, he's going to receiver.
Yeah,
he is a receiver.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's like what? Like I really don't need you back here.
Yeah.
All I need to do is make their eyes think the ball's going somewhere else for a second, so I can hit another receiver.
That's fair.
Tough, man.
Wow. Coming up with Ron Slay here at RKW, you guys will have the chance to sit down with Josh Heupel later this week. I'm curious, Slay's number one thing he wants to learn from that conversation. We'll do that with Slay coming up next. Wrap up the show here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will live from SEC Media Days 2023. Kayla and Will with Ron Slay hanging out with us at the table. Slay, we appreciate you coming down here in person, man. There's a bridge out. This is a tough logistically place to get to. So.
Hey, man, you got to understand when the standard is set.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about that when I went to, I've been back in the lab working out, man. So I was thinking about that this morning.
Early morning crew,
yeah,
too.
Man,
you,
yeah, I'm rocking with y'all. You know what I'm saying? But this is the thing. It's sacrifice, man. The sacrifice is not, I'm like, what am I working out for? It's not to get ready to go overseas or anything, but I got a partner of mine that's getting ready to go back. And he needed a big man to kind of work with him.
Sure.
So I was like, hey, okay, 2 birds with 1 stone. But that's it, man. You set the ball, you gotta stay right there. I can't just keep calling me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We get into it, baby.
You know what you guys have coming up today? Or is that still these things always happen?
See, that's the bad part, Will, when you put me under the gun like that.
Sorry.
I'm more of a free flowing guy, you know what I mean? We do got somebody coming up.
Yeah. And I promise you, that body gonna be in the chair or on the phone
with a microphone in front of him.
And guess what? I'm trying to pull it up
I'm
right
the same
now.
way. I'm flowing water out here. You hear me? Hey, who we got
Dan
today?
Dan Wessel gonna stop by. We'll have Wessel stop by.
That's cool.
CeeLo is on standby.
Chris Lowe.
I love CeeLo cadence when he talk. He's just like
it's good.
yeah.
And he tell the story, keep you in. And then we got two other guests. I just don't know.
See what I'm saying? And that's cool.
You'll figure it out by 3.
That's not my role, man. You got to stick with your role. They don't need me trying to handle the ball right now.
I think you should get Kirby, and you should
Alan
just
Kirby?
pepper him.
Smart.
Kirby Smart. You just pepper
we
just
should
pepper him, Ron.
We should have Alan Kirby interview Kirby Smart and
there
just
we go.
call it Kirby on Kirby.
There we
can
go.
never get Kirby and Saban, man. Those two,
Oh
they're
gosh.
guarded. It's like it's state
Right?
troopers, police, Green Berets, like everybody's
real?
around.
I know.
Well, you know, Ranger School happens in Georgia too. So
Well,
I mean, they got a couple of them.
You hear them coming before you see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I bet if we talk to Nick about his Mercedes dealership that's down the road, he'd want to come
there
on
we
with
go.
us.
Oh yeah, that'll get you there.
I need a new car here soon, so maybe I need to ask Saban.
I might be knocking on the
We do
door with you, KK.
Something with you?
It's a small flex.
need
Y'all out
You
here
know?
balling during the summertime.
Said
months like
need.
that.
Said
Right?
need. Said need. We didn't say going to get. We said need.
We need.
Okay.
Yeah,
Key
we're
words.
working on it, Slay.
Good phrase,
Tell me
that's
if we
right.
get a deal over there.
Slay, you guys will be able to talk with Josh Heupel coming up on Thursday. What is the biggest thing you want to hear from him, not only with you guys, but just as he makes the rounds here in Asheville in general?
Man, with me is probably what's the next couple of steps. You know what I'm saying? Like he led in the last 2 SEC, the last SEC media days with. You know, we don't have our full allotment of roster guys.
Yeah.
You know, we still got that black cloud hanging over us. It's clearer, but now it's gone.
Yeah.
So now you can start to really plan ahead, knowing what's coming down the pipe, and also knowing that you got guys that you can go out and get, and other schools can't use that against you.
Yeah.
Saying they got infractions, sanctions that's going to happen. So now that that's moved out of the way, what's the next steps? Like what? Danny White ain't stopped.
No, and
You know
he's
what I'm
not
saying?
gonna.
Yeah, he's not going to stop. He's full steam ahead. So I would love to hear what's Heupel's next situation that he wants to step into and take this to a whole different level.
I wonder how much that actually affected recruiting, though.
I think a lot.
Legitimately. And did they hear about how it affected them when it came down to recruiting, too? And, of course, he probably won't divulge a whole lot. But most coaches now, you know what I'm saying, that walk out of NCAA prison, you got to kind of, like show them, I'm Mr. Bigfoot out here now.
Yeah, man. You once you get that lifted up off of you, man, you ready to roll. You can push. You can talk a certain type of way.
Yeah.
You ain't got to be as guarded as you want to. So it's I know it's cool for him. I watch Coach Pearl, how he handles it. You know what I'm saying? Like when – he's free. He's a different animal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's what's up. I'm glad to see that for Heupel. And he looks more relaxed when we saw him at the Big Orange Caravan.
It definitely does.
So now he ought to be even more relaxed. So
He went in the boom room. He's
yes,
ready.
he loves going there. He always asks me to go in there. I got to make sure I'm
Yeah,
home. I got to make sure I'm home.
You're like, is the boom room on?
Yeah.
Last year in Atlanta, he literally walks up to the table and just goes, "All right, Slay, am I back in the
That's
boom
I'm
room?"
like, I ain't got nothing prepped, but let's go.
Yeah.
Get in there. You know what I'm saying?
Slay, do you have any other advice for us as an SEC Media Days veteran that you are? Anything else we need to know for the next 2 days?
I tell you what, this is actually cool because on the road, do you remember how gassed we are? Like, because you got to get in. You got to get in here like when y'all start y'all show, and you got to be here like just monitoring, and then you don't get to break away from here. Like, just go back up to your room. Can't really chill. Somebody will be like, "Hey man, we got such and such down here." So My thing is, man, with this being a home field advantage, embrace it.
Yeah.
Let them know you on our home turf, man. Y'all need anything, holler at me. You know what I mean? We got Southern hospitality, but other than that, man, have a good time with it.
We've already got people coming up to us thanking Kirby for helping out with the internet issues. I mean, he's a star already.
That's home field right there, man. Home field, no question.
We mentioned earlier that our internet dropped and everyone was out, and it was not any fault of anyone here. Like the internet in the hotel went
dropped. Yeah,
and we were still on because Kirby has a plan B, C, D, all the way down to like alpha, like Greek letters
every time.
And Kirby got like half of the stations around.
It's incredible.
See, they ought to send them Pepsi and Squares.
And candy bars.
And candy bars.
Candy bars.
Pepsi and Squares.
And a SIG once in a while.
Heaters, baby.
He is Ron Slay, 3 to 6 this afternoon, as well as every afternoon here on the show on 3HL. SEC Network's own Ron Slay. Also.
Hey, I like that ad. We just saw Pete Waters walk by. He tried to sneak by. He asked me why I got my Oak Hill shirt on. Just be cool, Pete. Worry about the wrong stuff, man. What a contract at?
Yeah, exactly.
He won't make act up. He know I act up on him.
You can hear Slay and all the other guests that 3HL adds in the meantime to that schedule coming up later today. We are back at it tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Right back.
We will have Rhett Bryan talking DeAndre Hopkins. We will have Tony Barnhart, Mr. SEC, stopping by the table. Going to be a good show. And going to be good words of wisdom right now from one Ramon Aloysius Foster.
You got to remember at all times, no matter where you are, SEC Media Days, NFL Kickoff, Twitter, Instagram Live, your Twitter fingers, and your mic is always hot.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.